Jerome, to Brian, to Pierrick. Thanks so much for you guys being here. I am slightly confused at the moment because I actually lost my window that I can see you guys right here. I got it. I got it.
Yeah, we're still here.
So yeah, exactly. This was like a very messy intro, but it's really cool to actually have you guys all here together in one place after speaking with you all individually for years now. It's been, I feel, with many different things that we have been working on and talking about and stuff. So this is a special stream, at least for me, hopefully for you guys too, because we all have been grinding super hard on this YouTube live. And I feel like there's a lot of people in the anime industry that ask me, they probably ask you guys as well, on how can you actually kind of like get into this life and start being a YouTuber and influencer and all this stuff. So I think it's going to be very interesting for people to actually know a little bit more about our journeys. How do we got here? Some of the things that we learned, some of the good stuff, and also some of the bad stuff that comes with this lonely life of being a YouTuber. So before we go ahead, for anybody that doesn't know these good fellas here, because most likely everybody would know, maybe you can introduce yourself, Pierrick, and then we'll go to Jerome and then Brian after, if you don't mind.
Okay, so thanks for having me and having all of us. So my name is Pierrick Picaut. I'm a 3D animator and rigger specialized in Blender. I work as a consultant and animator for some studios in games and now in on shows. And I'm a educational content creator on YouTube and on P2 Design Academy, focusing on animation and rigging in Blender.
Amazing, amazing. And Jerome,
Yeah, so as for me, firstly, Harvey, thanks for having me. So everyone, I'm Jerome. I'm an international animation consultant. I'm also a lead animator. I've been working in games for about 10 years now. I specialize in 3D animation, specifically game development. And yeah, really jumped into the YouTube space about 2 years ago, and channel's just slowly growing.
absolutely, absolutely doing a great job as well, man. And Brian,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a 3D animator, and more recently, with 2 Anime Academy, I've sort of just taken on that role and I've become a business owner.
yeah,
So I'm sort of somewhere in between now, between an animator and a business owner. Um, yeah.
that's amazing. As you see, all this week, I interviewed a bunch of people, professionals in the industry, and everybody's so humble for how they present themselves. I feel like everybody that I interview has done so much, and they're like, I am just a guy, and that's it. So I have so many questions for you guys. So I think the biggest one being, I think we should kind of like start talking about it straight away about the YouTube life, right? I think I'd love to actually find out more about how each one of you started, the motivations, and how do you actually went about it. So I'll go from Jerome because I feel like Jerome may be like maybe the newest one of us all in the YouTube space here in this chat, and then we'll go to Brian and then Pierrick. Pierrick has even more experience than I have, so we'll leave Pierrick for the end. He has the most experience here. So, Jerome, what led you as an animator, right, to actually also do YouTube on the side? Because animation is hard enough. So, what was the motivation for you to actually then do also this extra grind of putting yourself in front of the camera and actually teaching others?
Do you know what? It started around about the COVID time. When I saw just things weren't going well for animators and just people in general. I
Mm,
decided that, you know what, I needed to have, quite frankly, more than one stream of income. So kind of like Brian, I decided that, I'm going to become a business owner, started up the Advanced Animation Academy, and one of the ways that you can advertise it is to really be on YouTube. And I just figured, you know what, I've been an animator for a few years now. I've got a lot of value to bring. And I said, you know what, let me share my knowledge and insights with animators all around the world, and people have gained value from it. And things have
cool.
just been growing steadily since then.
That's cool, man. It's been a pleasure to actually see you grow your growth as well. It's really, really, really cool.
Thank you, man.
And what about you, Brian? Like, what made you like start and then like, expand to a business owner? Because you've been going strength to strength from your
Thank you.
YouTube exploding and then also all of a sudden you're actually doing to animate as well and that exploded. So like, how's that journey been?
A little bit longer of a story. So the reason I even started the channel was because I had a horrible experience with institutional education.
Mm,
I did my bachelor's in arts, but also majoring in animation. But after the 4 years and like $40,000 down in debt, I had nothing to show for it. I genuinely I couldn't get a job in the industry if I tried with like everything I learned or didn't learn rather.
mhm,
Um, I ended up doing a postgraduate program afterwards, like an advanced postgraduate program at Sheridan, which is like number one or two animation school in Canada. And that's where I finally learned the stuff I needed to learn to actually get into the industry,
mhm,
but just surface level. But the thing is with institutional education, you only really learn, or rather, you learn everything. So there's a lot of fluff that you don't actually care about. So you only learn a little bit about the thing that you actually do care about, which in my case was animation. So the whole time I was at Sheridan, I kept thinking to myself, "Oh my God, I wish I knew this like 4 years ago. Oh my God, if I knew this 4 years ago, I could have been so much farther ahead." And after Sheridan, and I started working in the industry, I just thought to myself, I need to maybe like help people that were where I was 4 or 5 years ago.
mm.
Um, like I want to make a channel that I wish I had 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah,
because at the time the industry was also like a black box. Like nobody really knew the inner workings of the industry, like what it was like working as an animator, or so that's sort of how the channel began, and it eventually led into to animate like 3 years afterwards or something.
nice one. Nice one. Yeah, I remember the energy that you used to bring right at the beginning. Just like Jerome, like was like this energy, this fresh energy, this new like I remember you doing like an animation reacts as well and stuff like that. It was really cool to see.
Now I have bags under my eyes.
It happens. It's
That's how
YouTube,
it
man.
be.
It's YouTube. We all have them. What about exactly? What about you, Peric? I think you've been here for how many years now have you been doing YouTube?
Almost 12 now.
Damn,
Yeah, it's
that's a
been a
lot.
while. So when I started, like YouTube tutorials already existed, but it wasn't as, as today. But sharing your knowledge and the Blender community thing was already ongoing. So whenever you were to learn a new trick, in a way, you would share it. That was, uninterested. But at some point, I wanted to do a course and work for CG Cookie, a company that does also educational content, and it didn't fit. So I made a first course on my own, and it kind of started like that. So initially, YouTube wasn't a thing to make money,
Mhm.
but after I would say 5 years or something like that, it became like a professional tool, and nowadays it's definitely something like my go-to marketing solution
Of
in a
course.
way.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps a lot. Jerome's cat was actually just walking in front of him just before off stream. I wish guys could have seen that. He was very much like, pay attention to me. Cute cat, man. No, yeah, exactly. Like, I think that journey from going into just creating content to help others to then becoming a tool that you can promote not only your work, but what you do, but also help others as well becomes really, really powerful. And we definitely need to ask you all because we all have felt that one way or the other. And before we go there, I wanted to give a shout out to the chat here. Thanks everybody watching. Please send a lot of questions. You guys are already sending lots of questions, which is great. Appreciate you all. We have about 33 people at the moment, and hopefully in an hour or two we're gonna be have even more. So please keep those questions coming. If you're watching this from LinkedIn, join us on YouTube because unfortunately I cannot see your questions. I see lots of comments under the thing, but I don't see it. So if you join us on YouTube and then we can talk there and I'll be answering those questions in a moment. But I wanted to actually then go circle back from Pierrick, the other way around and ask like now that you actually are an experienced YouTuber, right? And you actually could go back to the very beginning, since there's so many people here, most likely, that actually want to kind of follow in these footsteps, and they can see the potential of the promotion on YouTube, especially now that it's hard to get jobs and stuff like that, right? How would you actually go about starting today in 2025?
May I go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Go first.
Just get started. So basically, it became a tool for us and marketing tool, and we're trying to get more professional doing those videos. But the most important thing is to make the first one, even though it won't look super good, the sound will be crappy or whatever.
Yeah.
Now with all the Instagram and all, the social media stuff, like everything looks perfect, but everybody starts from the beginning. You can't get perfect right away. So I think, yeah, just make a video without big expectations. That's also another problem, is that sometimes, and I do it myself, put a lot of energy into video, hoping that it's gonna be the one that's gonna crack everything,
A million views.
and you do like less than usual, and then you post something, just, oh yeah, let's make a breakdown of that thing, and it got hundreds of thousands of views, and you're like, oh.
That's it.
So yeah, just make a simple video and share what you like, without trying to be, as professional as people that have been doing it for years. And with time, you'll become a professional. It's like every job.
That's
You
it.
start by being a hobbyist, and then you start to make money out of it, and you become a professional. That's
Yeah.
the definition of it in the end.
Completely. That's some wise words, man. And actually, and by the way, Jean-Denis was supposed to be in this stream. He sends his apologies because he actually couldn't make it because of work. He had to start working, but Jean-Denis was supposed to be here. And I remember Jean-Denis was a guy that I actually studied his YouTube channel a lot before I started. And one of these videos that he had a million views, it was just a video of him that he shot of Woody, like somebody had a Woody on the back of the car just dangling, and it had a million views. So I would love to hear his opinion on this, because I'm pretty sure he feels the same as you, Pierrick, that is the most like simplest thing that actually gets the most views, and the stuff that you put more effort ends up getting the least. Cool. So going backwards, Brian, like for you, do you feel the same way? Like, how would you actually, what's the advice that you would give to somebody that wants to start today in 2025?
I think Pierrick nailed every single point this question has to offer. My God. Yeah, I relate to everything he just said. You just spent so much time on a video, and expectation is the can only bring just disappointment, really. So you put a lot of effort into a video, and you expect it to perform well, and it performs shit basically, right? And then you just throw something up that you put no effort in and just blows up, and it makes no sense. So I think, as Pierre said, just upload. Like I wouldn't now upload the videos I uploaded to begin with, but if I didn't upload those, I wouldn't be uploading what I'm uploading now,
Yeah.
right? And I think YouTube is almost like an art to a certain extent, where with art, you're always learning, you're always improving.
Yeah.
So you just have to start somewhere so you can start improving on your on your process, and get feedback from people. A lot of the changes I made was because of comments I was getting on YouTube saying, "Hey, your mic is too low," or "You're like the video needs to be more like this," or like the color is this. So I would just make those changes over time.
That's great. That's really good. Great advice. And you, Jerome, what would you say?
Wow, the others haven't really left much for me to say. I actually agree with everything that they said. If I was to go back in time and tell myself, oh, what do I need to do to get started? I would just say, just start.
Yeah,
Because I kind of liken it to go into the gym. You just have to start. And over time, as you get more reps and reps, you just get better.
100%.
And don't worry about having the best mic or the best camera or having the best speaking voice. All of that comes in time. It's just
Yeah.
about consistency, really.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And it's funny though, because I don't know if you guys saw YouTubers giving advice to other YouTubers on how to start when you guys started, because I started about 7 years ago, and I heard this advice many times, like don't get a fancy camera, just find a camera, just buy it, just use your phone if you need to, and like don't get a fancy mic, just use this. And I ignored it all and just use it. Bought a camera, bought it like a fancy mic, didn't know how to use it properly, still sounded horrible, still looked horrible, didn't know what I was doing. And now looking back, I can barely watch my videos, like the early videos, because he sounds horrible. But I hope you guys watching this can take our advice, because it will
Just
save
to
you money and it will save you a
piggyback
lot of headaches.
piggyback off of Harvey, or not piggyback, but just comment on it.
Hmm.
Don't feel horrible watching those videos because your early videos are actually what inspired me to make my own channel too.
Oh, thank you,
Especially the
Steve.
God of War, was it the God of War X
Yeah, that one.
animation you made? That one was, yeah. I was like, man, this guy came out of nowhere. His camera is already so good, like the quality of his videos is already so high. What the heck? And then I was just using my like crappy webcam at the time, and
You did it
so
well, Brian. You did it
uh,
well.
so that
You-
your content was definitely like it kind of set the bar.
Yeah.
Even though you were a new channel, you kind of like you started up here in terms of like quality.
Oh, thanks.
But all that to say, you don't need to,
Yeah.
but you did, and that sort of inspired me to kind of like push the quality of my own videos as well.
No, thanks, man. I appreciate it. But that video, I mentioned this story a few times, but it took me about 6.5 months to create that one video, because and I remember, I think, Jerome, we had these conversations before you started and stuff. I think it was you that was asking me, like, feedback or like opinions about like how to start. And to me, I was second guessing myself so much. And I remember perfectly that I want to make a tutorial, and I made it, and then I showed it to my wife. And then my wife, it was about 45 minutes video. And I showed it to my wife, and my wife, she's not an animator. She was like, "Look, everything you're saying is very fancy and very cool, but I don't understand anything you're saying." So, and then that moment was pivotal for me, because I've kind of figured out that if my wife doesn't understand it, then most likely newcomers and people that actually don't know anything about animation, or maybe just are interested in animation, they might not actually be interested in this stuff, right? So then I started making videos that were actually a bit more broad, in terms of, instead of me like, look at me, I know all this stuff. So he actually ended up being much easier. So, but yeah, like something that I definitely regret is the buying the gear, even though like that camera cost me so much. Like I had to, that was 3 months of salary gone. It's crazy. Cool. Thanks everybody. Now we have a bunch of people. A quick question that I have, and I think is personally for you, for each one of your channels. I think we have four different channels here, and if JD was here, we like the fifth channel. And I like the diversity that we have in channels. Pierrick is incredibly good at actually talking Blender tutorials. I'm jealous of Pierrick and his tutorials, man. He is so good at putting tutorials together. He's incredible. I cannot match it, and I don't know how he does it. And and the level of detail is insane. So I'm gonna ask him some questions about that in just a second. And Brian is incredibly good as a business savvy guy. I knew this from the very beginning, Brian. Like I remember we had like a chat behind the scenes about something, and you said, "Okay, so I get it, Harvey, but let's do this." And you started immediately talking about, like, doing it in a way that we could share the content and making sure that we can actually sell, like split it in things. And I was like, man, this guy is ahead of the curve, and it's really amazing to see that. And Jerome, like, I think your dedication to helping others, and actually kind of like your course and helping one-on-one and stuff like that, it's really the dedication behind that, and how many people you helped over the time, over the time that you've been doing it. It's really impressive as well. So major kudos for that. So what I wanted to ask is exactly that. We all kind of touching on different things on YouTube, right? And I think it's important, every single one of them. So going from the last to first again, for you, Jerome, because you actually more of a mentor and inspirational and person that actually wants to really help others. Where does that come from? Like that needs to basically empower others to basically not go through the same things as you did.
Do you know what? I thought about this for a long time. At first, I would say it was innate within my character. I was someone just likes to help people. But then I think what really made it a thing for me that really drives me is we've all seen how difficult it is to actually break into our industry. And then when you actually break in, to actually go and excel, climb up the ranks, whether that be junior to mid, mid to senior, senior to lead, there's basically no direction.
That's
And
true.
there was nobody other than probably yourself and
Yeah.
a handful of others who could give me any direction about how to grow and elevate.
Yep.
So I figured if it was so difficult, I don't think it needs to be. So if I can put my knowledge and insight out there and I can make the path easier for others, then why wouldn't I? It doesn't
Mhm.
cost me anything, just a little bit of time. And if my investment in time can save somebody else a lot of time, then I think my time was worth it in the end.
Amazing. Amazing. That's exactly what it's about. And it comes back to you. And you felt that most likely. It comes back to you,
Oh
right?
yeah, big time.
In so many ways. It's hard to describe, but it comes back to you. It's like it's so great. What about you, Brian? Where do you find you also help others because you do amazing tutorials as well, and you're doing it also via your course to animate. This is why you created it, and there's a crossover there with Pierrick with Blender. But where does that come from? Because I know you're using business as well because you're business savvy to then get to the same goal. So, but where does that? I guess it's from your experience in university,
Yeah.
but there must be something innate within you. There's like you just have to keep going, right?
Well, there's a couple of things. For one, I like teaching. That's just something I've always liked. Just showing people new things I've learned. Um, and the other part of it is from my story that I said earlier about my experience with the institutional schools.
Mm,
You know, I started my career with something like $40,000 in debt. Um,
it's a
and
lot.
it was, yeah, yeah, and 4 years fully wasted. So that was something I was trying to help avoid other people going through.
Yeah.
Just because, again, to myself, I kept saying, I wish I knew this 4 years ago. I wish I knew this like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it really came from like a frustration from institutional schools and um, just the love of teaching. The business side of it is I've always wanted to start a business, and I think in my culture, it's um, when my parents like we immigrated to Canada like 18 years ago or so. We immigrated to Canada 18 years ago or so, and when we have friends that migrate here as well, when my dad has conversations with them, it's not, hey, did you find a job? Hey, did you do that? It's, hey, did you start a business yet? So that's
Wow.
sort of it's like it's in
Embedded.
our culture a little bit. So I knew I wanted to start a business eventually, and it just naturally kind of led from YouTube. It was like, okay, like what sort of business path could you take from this point on? Because I really like this, and I would like to make this into a business. I would like to make this into like my livelihood.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how to animate happened, and we're kind of branching out to some other stuff right now, but that's since we're talking about to animate.
That's cool. That's cool. That's amazing. I have follow-up questions, but before we go ahead, Pierrick, um, like, so for you, you also have this, and everybody in the chat, you guys can actually attest to this most likely, but Pierrick's tone and the cadence and how he delivers the message in a very slow fashion all the time. It's really mesmerizing, right? Please let me know in the chat. Give Jerome Pierrick his flowers because he needs it. But like, what made you kind of like, teach things and do it in this fashion that you do it nowadays?
Well, honestly, it was more a limitation than because of my English. I improved a lot. I took lesson, but at first, like my English was terrible. I had a lot of critics about it. But I do relate a lot to everything that was said before. I would say, like, also for me, I do like to educate, to be a teacher in everything I do. And also the thing is that when you're teaching something, a little tip or a little trick, if you don't want to be ridiculous, you really have to dig it and understand it kind of better. So sometimes you may learn a new trick, you want to share it, but before you start sharing it, you just dig it a little more to be sure that you get around it basically. So I think that's one of the things that do stimulate me, is that being a teacher or doing educational content helped me progress way more than just being in production. Because in production sometimes people tell you do it that way,
Hmm.
it works, maybe you're a little more curious and you will, and I think that's one of the reason why you can be a lead, or it's just being more curious than the guy right next to you. So it's a bit the same doing educational content. At some point you just discover something and you just become more curious and you get better that way. It's a virtuous cycle, or I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
something like that. So yeah.
absolutely. And I remember like when I interviewed you before, Pierrick, you actually mentioned about like how like the grind from being an indie like this freelancer kind of made you like want to teach people how to do things slightly better, and this is why you're putting your courses out there as
Mm.
well, right? So it's almost like the courses, I guess we all kind of feel the same way, right? I think there's a little bit of frustration. There's a little bit of like, it's almost like what is it, cathartic? That's what they call it. Is that the
Yeah, yeah,
right word?
absolutely. Mm.
Like
Yeah.
you actually are trying to help others so you can fix a little bit of the breakage inside. Because in a way, I'm very much like you, Brian. Like I actually spent 3 years, not so many here, not 4, but 3 years as well here in the UK. And the name of my bachelor's was animation specialist. That was the name of in University of West London, that Jerome probably is aware of. And there was nothing animation or specialist about the course about so then I
I feel
finished the
you.
course. I paid the money. I was also in debt, not as much as you for sure, Brian, because thankfully, like like I had help from the government and stuff, but still, like it felt like a waste of time, and that was my very first frustration. And then second, I had a really good mentor in Jason Ryan, and he was the first person that taught me that taught me about the benefits in the humanity of helping someone without asking anything in return. There is something that really marks you in the beginning, and I feel like hopefully some people that have seen our channel feel the same way. But it's very much like giving without expecting anything back. Because genuinely at that point in time, I was like so broke. I was like I had nothing. Just helping, like, and that helped me to then not leave animation and stuff. And I think there's something very honorable about that. So this is why, like, I appreciate you both, all here, for doing exactly what you do, because I think it takes a lot. It takes a lot, I'd like to actually go into that. Then we'll go move into your questions chat for sure, because there's plenty coming through. But I wanted to actually talk about exactly that, like, because everybody asks, like, there's a question here from somebody earlier that asked. I'll look for it after, but how do you manage to actually do full-time work and at the same time do content? And I think that's basically the question, the number one question that people have in their minds are like, how the heck do we do this? Because work and in animation, especially in games and film or whatever, is hard enough, and you're absolutely just burned out by the end of it. So how do we manage to actually make this thing work, right? So I'll go to Brian and then Jerome and then Pierrick.
So unless you're an absolute machine like Pierrick, I don't think it's possible. No, no, it's you can, but if you want to do it at a high level, it's not sustainable.
Mm,
When I started out, I was basically writing videos on my commutes to work. I had like 40 minutes to an hour commute one way and so forth. So my commutes,
mm,
I would script the videos, come up with the ideas and all that stuff. And I'd get home around like 9, 10 p.m., like have quickly eat dinner and then record from like 11 to like 1 till 2 a.m. Um, Sometimes edit the next night, or like if a video had to be uploaded the next day, I'd stay up to like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Editing it. So that's not sustainable because I had to wake up at like 7 a.m. and then go to work. So
yeah.
um, it's definitely hard starting out. Um, you could start slow and then build up, but now I'm at a point where um, me, my wife, and the other co-founder of To Animate, we've gone full-time to animate. So now the focus for me is To Animate Academy and like the branches that we're trying to start with that. And YouTube creation content, as well as some of the other social medias. So it's it's tough, but you just kind of have to make it work. You just have to start slow and build up from do what you can, do what you're capable of.
Yeah.
But if you want, again, you want to do it at a high level, it's not super sustainable to do that while you're working a full-time job, to just to be realistic.
Nice one. And for you, Jerome?
Yeah,
How do
I
you-
would echo what Brian said. At a high level, it's not sustainable. Like I'm actually close to making that shift myself.
Mhm.
But I guess for the question for how you get started, you just have to start. You have to find the time. When I started, it was really a lot of my weekends I would spend, let's say Friday night, like now,
Mhm.
planning out content. Then the Saturday I'd go and record content. But what helped me was to really have a structure, and I would record content in batches, and I would dedicate basically a whole Saturday to recording the content, then the Sunday to editing it, and then releasing it over time. That's something that helped me. And I think that's something that would help someone else who's just starting out as well. Just really, you know your work schedule, you know your week. So take time, structure it, and that will make things a lot more sustainable. But I absolutely agree with Brian that if you want to take it to a high level, it's not going to be sustainable long term. You're going to have to make the switch at some point.
Yep, 100%. And Pierrick,
Yeah, all the same.
the same.
Like at first, I was working still, I think, for a company, so it was mostly my weekends or my late night, and then I started freelancing. So it was kind of a little easier, but I was working more. But I was working 100% in Blender, 100% for myself. So it was a little easier to find ideas or content to make YouTube videos afterward because I was working for, a client, and then, you repeated the same task all over again and you're gonna teach it in a YouTube video. So
Yeah.
maybe it was a little easier, but anyway, it was extra work, extra time, and it's absolutely not something you make money with, at least at first. So I don't know the experience of everybody here, but generally you do that on the side, and at some point you're like,
Yeah.
okay, my regular job or creating content,
Yeah.
and you switch, And it took me like more than 6 years, maybe 7 years to entirely switch, basically. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's yeah.
It takes time,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, like so as soon as the stream started, we had like this question about exactly what we're talking about. How do you find time to create industry work on the industry and create quality content? Schedule, how do you manage your job inside projects, family, and YouTube? And also, how much time do you dedicate to creating content? So I think that that's a lot of interest on how do we balance this. And yeah, I would echo everything that has been said already. Like when I started, I was actually doing it during the evenings in my days because we just had a little one. So our first daughter was just born and she was maybe 2 years old. And the only time that I could actually kind of like edit videos was at night when she was asleep. And the only time that I could actually record videos was during the weekend, like Jerome, because my wife would actually go out with my daughter for like a couple of hours, and I would just record, got 2 or 3 videos, and then I edited them all, like batch edit and stuff. But as Brian said, it's not really sustainable because it's really a lot. And what takes the longest is not actually recording the videos or planning the videos, it's actually editing the videos. That stuff, this is why I'm so jealous of Pierrick, because editing those things, it takes so much time. So what I highly advise, and this is what I have right now, shout out to Connor, my editor, is an editor of my own. So the only thing I do is very much like talk to camera like this, and then I talk for like an hour or so, and then I give it to Connor. Connor lives in Ireland. Poor Connor has to look at my face day in, day out, and then he actually edits my stuff. And every three months or so, I ask Connor, "Are you tired of my face yet?" And I'm like, "No, dude, it's cool." So we keep going, and we've been doing this for like maybe 2 or 3 years now. But that's sustainable, I feel, because I can quickly take an hour or 30 minutes, record something, and then go back to work. and that's actually easy to actually do,
I
right?
second that.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're at a point where yeah, we have a video editor. We also have a sort of like a VA, virtual assistant, like social media manager as well. And even with that, again, unless you're Pierrick, it's very hard to actually
Exactly.
sustain. And especially if you have a family, like I just had a daughter just 6 months ago. You can
Oh,
see
congrats, Brian. I didn't know
thank you.
this.
Yeah,
Congrats,
Crazy,
man.
it was
congrats.
the was it the no, not the crib. My gosh, my brain is still foggy. Sorry. Um,
New dad is normal.
yeah, yeah. So exactly like you said, my wife kind of takes our daughter out for
Mm,
like 40 minutes or so, and I get a chance to record a video or two.
that's it.
And then luckily we have an editor, so that part I can just kind of send off. But just the time is very hard to kind of it's a luxury,
That's
especially when you
100.
have a family. So it's tough, and
Exactly.
you need help if you want to continue to do it.
100%. And the in the issue of time, and I promise I'll go into the questions of the chat. I promise. I just have too many questions for these guys. In terms of time, like, do you guys find this switch between like when you work full time, when you don't do YouTube, like if you guys remember years ago, like you feels like you have not a lot of time because you spend 8 hours working every day. But then you go home and you chill, Netflix, all good, right? And then your weekends, you're like, 2 days, don't do nothing, great. But do you guys feel like as soon as you turn a YouTuber, all of a sudden time is a commodity, and all of a sudden it's like, how much time can I crawl back to do all the things that I want to do? Do you guys feel the same way? Pierrick, you can go first.
Yeah, in a way. So, but I would extend that to working in working in art in general, because I didn't start with that, and as soon as I started with that, I was obsessed with it. So
With time, with like getting the time
yeah,
back?
just spending time working or training or doing art,
Right.
and so it has been in my life for like 15 years now also, and it hasn't changed. I chill more now than before because now I I probably need it more. uh, but yeah, it has always been, like have an extra hour, doing, yeah, rigging things or drawing or whatever, or watching, like watching an animated movie, but with like the eye of an animator, I guess. We don't look at the things the same way.
That's
you
it.
know, you can watch, crappy movies, but with good animation just because it's good animation and
That's
point
it.
at a smear. And so it has always been there. But in my case also, I think it's been kind of a choice. I don't have children, and my girlfriend knows that I do work a lot. I spend a lot of time here. So when it's like regular week or regular working period, she's not how to say, she's not asking for more free times or stuff like
Right.
that. So
Right.
that's, you choose something, and so I'm not struggling to find time, but definitely I'm frustrated a lot of the time, especially when I'm doing client work,
Yeah.
and I try to, just do my stuff at the same time. So generally, it's waking up earlier to just spend a couple of hours doing my stuff and not being frustrated, because today I can't do my own stuff, So yeah, but yeah, time is like the most precious thing for everything: family, work,
100%
life.
live. Absolutely. Yeah, because you actually started pretty much like freelancing from the beginning,
Yeah,
right? So for you, it was always like, I guess, balancing a bunch of stuff at the same time, all the time,
yeah.
and trying to create at the same time, business at the same time, right? You have to do many things.
Yeah. At first, it was because I did learn 3D on my own. I was in the printing industry. I wasn't doing that stuff, so it really became like an obsession. And when I started freelancing, I wasn't doing that much content, so it wasn't hard to find time to make that content. But yeah, I was because I was happy doing those freelance stuff because I was learning so many things, like a bit of animation, a bit of rigging. I was a generalist, so I was doing everything, and I was at the same time discovering 3D. So, you're obsessed with everything 3D, everything around you, because you're trying to imagine how you will do that in 3D, and
3D.
some people pays you to do 3D stuff. So at first it wasn't too hard, but it's more, I think, after 3 years of freelancing, and when making content becomes more than just, I will do a tutorial because it's fun.
Of course.
After my first course, I think it was the time where, you got to fight and just free a day, sometime. Like now, Mondays are for content creation, even though I'm not making a YouTube video, but maybe I'm working on the prototype for a course or something.
Right, right, right.
Mondays are my days, basically.
Yeah, exactly. The video day, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. What about you, Brian?
Well, it's definitely a sacrifice wanting to do that stuff, like create content and whatnot.
Right.
You are sacrificing your evenings, you're sacrificing your nights, you're sacrificing your weekends. And exactly as you said, you're kind of trying to like crawl back a little bit, have a little bit of time for yourself to do all the stuff you wanted to do. Even more so with a family. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Since okay, so my wife is the second co-founder of To Animate, and so she used to do a third of the work, but now she can't with our little one.
Of course.
And I also work from home, so I'm available basically. So every like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I need to go help with something and then come back, go, come back, go, come. So it's really hard to actually find the time to dedicate to what needs to be done. So you just have to figure out what's the most essential thing and just focus on that, in my case at least. And then everything else kind of like falls in the background. Like luckily we have some help, but like most of the things that need to go out, it's sort of kind of, I'm the choke point for it.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It's tough.
It's definitely tough. And
Yeah.
I wish there was I don't know. I wish there was 48 hours in a day.
Exactly. Or another Brian next to you. That would be nice.
Yeah, I keep telling myself, oh my gosh, if only I could just shadow clone jutsu, that'd be fantastic. Just
Absolutely.
just like 10 of me, and like they can do all the stuff that needs to get done. I can just take a breather.
That would be
Uh,
amazing. Just go to the
yeah,
sofa, chillax, and the work is being done, and they
I
just
swear that's what we need.
poof them out, and then go back.
Exactly. You even retain all the memories and stuff. So
That
it's
would be
perfect.
amazing.
In another world.
That's great. What about you, Jerome? How do you deal with all this, like, finding the time amongst, because I know you're a lead right now
Yeah.
in Jaeger and stuff. So obviously as a lead, you have a lot of responsibility. So how do you actually find this extra time to do the content, the teaching, all that stuff?
Do you know what? I'll come with a slightly different perspective to the others because
Hmm.
I'm the youngest here. Because
Hmm.
when I started the whole YouTube thing, became a lead, I was in my late 20s.
Right.
And so naturally young, full of energy. So time, as much as we have the same 24 hours in a day, time didn't feel the same to me.
Hmm.
I've kind of thought of the mindset, look, let me put it in now so I can chill out, when I'm older. But now
Perfect.
that I'm in my early 30s, my perspective has changed. I've learned to appreciate the time with like family, friends, and things outside of
Hmm.
animation a lot more.
Hmm.
So my mindset has gone from grind, 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 grind to, all right, how can I optimize my workflows so that I can claw back that time and spend it with the people that actually matter to me? Whereas before it was after work, extra work,
Hmm.
teaching. Basically, animation was my life.
Hmm.
But now I find that I'm clawing back that time. So I say all that to say that, yeah, I agree with everyone on the panel. Just my perspective was a little bit different because I was a lot younger.
Yeah, that actually is really wise because it's true. Like the older you get, the more you start seeing things different.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand. I feel like we all want the same, right? We all want to eventually retire, and if we can retire early because of the hard work and the grind and the overtime that we're putting in now, then is time well spent, all right? And that's the main goal that we all after here. So yeah, no, that's really cool. Cool. So Chat, it's time. You guys have been asking a bunch of questions. I'm going to actually share some of the love as well that you guys have been sending. Thanks a lot for that. Alex Maniotti says, watching you all four. I just want to start animating. I appreciate it, Alex. This is great. Chromosome says we must have about at least 100 years of experience combined this week. Insane. Absolutely, especially with me on board because I'm very old at this point. I feel very old. So, let me see. Let me see. What else do we have? What else do we have? Uh, I'm scrolling up because there's so many. Let me see. Let me see. For Pierrick, we have a question for Pierrick. Oh, Ashley, no. Wait. Yes, Pierrick first. Pierrick, what made you pivot mostly to animation and rigging versus the generalist profile you had before?
Um, I so it was a game gig actually. It's when I started to work on Noara, and I think animation and rigging and animation specifically was the specialty where I had the most value basically. I was a good generalist and you can make a career out of it, but animation was the thing where I felt I was better compared to all the other things, and also where I took the most pleasure basically. And rigging, so the thing is, animation is really like on the outside of things, and I feel like it's harder because you ask yourself more questions. It's more humbling, you know. I'm currently working with leads and director that are way younger than me, and I feel like I'm 20, you know.
Yeah.
Like are you happy? Are you, you know, I'm back to school.
Yeah.
I don't have this feeling with rigging, for example, because okay, I can't do that, but it's like, yeah, just search for it. Just, you know, everything that is technical is way easier to learn.
Yeah.
So animation is harder for me, but way more rewarding in the end. So yeah, it was just a matter of, you know, what I liked basically, and that's it. Yeah, I would say that.
That's amazing. That's a really good answer. Um, we also have a question here that I think is important because somebody's asking, does the time that you spend creating content worth the money that you get from it? And we can start maybe Jerome.
Ooh, there's many directions I can take this question, but I guess I would say, is the money worth it from it? I'm gonna say yes, but when I started it, it wasn't originally for money. Because, like I said in the beginning, I've always had the nature just to help people. And I find that when you try to do good by people, the world rewards you for it. And as a result of helping people, I've gained clients that have paid me a lot of money. I've been able to climb to a lead animator where I've been able to earn a lot more money.
Mhm.
And really just being true to yourself, recognizing the reason why you want to start. Like, you have to have a reason why you want to start this because this isn't easy. That in turn will reward you. So I wouldn't go into it looking for the money and the upside. Go into it because it's something you actually want to do. And because of that, you'll be rewarded for it financially. That's what I would say.
Yep. Brian, can you follow that?
Yeah, no, that was well said.
Yeah.
The Definitely don't go into it for the money, because if you want to think about, let's say, YouTube revenue, for example, we have really low RPM in
Super
our
low.
industry, very low. Like it just, I hear people in like the finance space have like let's say similar views to me, which isn't much in comparison to the topics, but they end up getting 10 to 20 times more than we get in terms of RPM.
Mhm.
Um, it's not worth it in that sense. But if you want to, but like Jerome said, it's helped me land a few positions. I think my last two positions, they knew about my channel, and they said, "Oh, well, you know, you seem to know more about this, you seem to know more about that, so we decided to like, kind of go with you. We've seen your channel." I was like, "Oh, perfect," you know. So in that sense, it helped. So you definitely shouldn't go into money, go into it for money. Um, but I think the future is having little pockets of audiences, like having a virtual footprints in the world. So you should create content, I think. Just put it out there. You can also turn that audience into a business eventually, which is what happened with my channel. It was just like 3 years, 4 years of like basically no money from it
Yeah.
at all. And then, yeah, I think throughout those 4 years of, let's say I put in like thousands of hours, I think I made like $1,000. Like I was making like $1 an
Right.
hour, maybe.
Nothing. Yeah.
So after I turned it into a business, then you start that audience that you build up, you can actually utilize it and get some income from it. So definitely not a get rich quick scheme of any sorts. The other thing is, you know what? I'll leave it at that. Maybe we'll get into some other questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Pierrick.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Jerome. At first, you just make it because you want to make it. If money, like especially for animation and creating content around animation, is even worse, you know. So like the time it takes, etc. If you're doing it for the money, just stop. You know, like you first do animation because you want to do animation, then maybe you'll find a job in animation, and around it you can create content. And when you create that content and you share your knowledge, it definitely helps you getting more job because you show that you know what you're doing. And there's always a guy in the band that will say, this guy knows what he's talking about, and we are looking for a guy like him, so let's contact him, you know.
Yep.
And I had like throughout those last 8 years, I would say all the positions I had were through my YouTube channel, like 100% of them. It's like, oh, you're the YouTube guy. Oh, you're P2 design. You know, people call me P2 design, you know, in the end. And yeah, that's me. You know how to rig or whatever. I said, well, maybe, you know, a little enough for your project. And this is how I landed, you know, my gigs basically. And then, yeah, YouTube doesn't pays us because we're not doing entertaining content. We're not doing like a video every day that gets millions of views, you know. But it allows you to show what you're doing, and then you have to find other streams like creating courses or being a mentor or, you know, doing those stuff. So YouTube allows us to bring the people to our business, but we don't,
Yeah.
at least, and I think it's the same for all of us. Like if we do $100 a month with YouTube, we're like, oh, that's amazing. You know?
That's absolutely
So yeah, that doesn't pay the bill.
completely. Yeah, no, yeah, like I just to add to what the guys are saying, yeah, 1,000% for sure. I just want to like add two things here that I think that comes with it. And I think that 100% you should give up if you're actually looking for the money for YouTube. There's nothing here for sure. But two things happen with YouTube though. It's like the first, like I'm a big believer in like if you give to others, it eventually will come back to you. Like it's just something, there's something that happens there. It's just, I don't know, more things will happen naturally. It just expands. I don't know exactly how it works, but it does work. And that is going to be something incredibly satisfying that you're going to find. And second, this industry, at least in games, it works very much about your personality and how much you know. And I think your YouTube channel can showcase those two things without even they having an interview. And most of the jobs that I got lately, just like Pierrick and the guys were saying, is very much like as soon as I go into an interview when I was working full time, people almost was like, okay, so when can you start? Because it's almost like they already knew me. It's like I don't know, like tell me more about you. That's what my answer was because I wanted to know about the studio and stuff. But it's that feeling of like they know you, even though you don't know them, because they see you on your videos, they know the knowledge, they know your personality, they know the personality fits within the studio, or maybe you're the lead or the director they're looking for, because you're just talking to camera and you're expressing yourself. So it's really powerful. It's not powerful in terms of money, but it's powerful in other things. So if you see it like a little bit bigger than just getting rich with YouTuber and being a YouTuber, then I think it works out great for you in your career. Cool. So we're getting lots of great questions. Let me get a few more. Chromosome asks, oh wait, this one. Do you plan or script your video? And what's your ideation pipeline? That's another one that people like to know. So we'll start with Pierrick. How do you go about creating a video?
So now I do like it 100%. I used to go more, like with the flow, let's say. If it's a pure tutorial on a technical thing, I generally just, put the big lines and what not to forget. Like you need to show this tool, this method. But again, technical stuff, it's if you know how to do it, the method, you just, record 30 seconds, explain, 30 seconds, explain. But when it's more, like what you do, Harvey, on more, like abstract theme or, art or, the fundamentals of animations, and you're not necessarily doing it at the same time, then I script everything. I wrote it down and I record it, and then I spend a lot of time editing those. So making like technical tutorials are very kind of fast, but making content where you talk about a theme or whatever, that takes forever.
Absolutely. And the follow-up question, how long does it take you to actually edit those longer tutorials so people know how much work you put into them?
So for a 10 to 15-minute YouTube video, it takes me about 6 to 18 hours, depending on the content.
Damn. So please appreciate this man, chat. Like it's a lot of work for me. It's a lot of work. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Brian, do you script your videos or do you go like a cappella?
I can't, for the life of me, just wing videos, especially when the camera is on. The second the camera turns on, 50 IQ, gone. Out my head. I'm just, looking at the camera like, what was the next line? So I definitely have to have everything scripted. It needs to be like almost word by word. I'd say like 80% of it has to be scripted for me.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll forget what I was talking about. I just don't know what it is. The second the camera turns on, it's like I just forget. I forget everything I wanted to talk about. So videos definitely take me a lot longer. Scripting it, I need to keep in mind that I'm going to be reading it. So I would just try and basically, it's probably a horrible way to record and a horrible process, but
No, it's your
I
way.
would try and memorize sort of like multiple sentences and then look into the camera, give the sentences, and then trying to keep my pose, look over at the script, go back and like continue.
Completely
So,
still, right? Just to make
yes,
sure that you keep the
exactly.
same
So the
fluidity.
cut isn't like me here than here. So it's definitely it's a process, and it's just what seems to be working for me. I don't know what it is with me and cameras,
Yeah.
but that's just how I go about it. And in terms of editing, it used to be around like 4 to 8 hours of editing, something like that.
Mm,
But now, luckily we have an editor, so I just hand it off and just give direction and like feedback and stuff like that.
yeah. Amazing. What about you, Jerome? How do you go about it?
So I don't have a script per se, but I will have basic notes about the general theme of which I want to talk about, especially more abstract things like if it's, I don't know, something to do with the industry specifically or about how to climb in your career. I would have rough bullet points, but not a general script. It's not the best workflow because what I find ends up happening is that I might end up having to record twice or three
Mm,
times. And then I have to pick the best between them about which one was the most concise, the most coherent, which I think would resonate with the audience more. And then in terms of editing, however long the video is, I've realized that it takes about at least 4 times the time of the video to actually edit it and get it right. So if it's a 15-minute video, it could easily take me up to an hour, easy. And
yeah,
that's being generous.
exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like so for me, the way it was, I tried the editing, the scripting like you're doing, Brian. Like I tried, but I felt like I would forget. I'm really bad at memorizing stuff. Like I'm really bad with names and stuff. So I
Same.
would read it. Yeah, I will read the same line about like 3 or 4 times. Be like, okay, now I know it, and I'll look at the camera and gone. and I don't know why. And then I had to read it again. It's like, oh, it takes so much longer. So what I ended up doing, because I kind of give up after a while, is that I would normally script things. That's what I do now. I script things, not script, like I have general ideas and topics, and then I'll read it once, and then I would actually just forget it, and then I just look at the camera and talk based on the on that topic. And sometimes it's really crappy, and sometimes it actually flows. But that's kind of how I go about it. I feel like that's how it is. A lot of the time is like, once again, shout out to my editor Connor, because a lot of the time I actually say a bunch of stuff and it takes like 40 minutes or something, or 45, and then I send it to Connor and be like, sorry Connor, I think this video doesn't make a lot of sense. Let me know if you want to shoot it again. I think I was not making a lot of sense. Let me know. And then he would actually comes up next day and it makes complete sense. So editors have a big saying on how the video actually sounds and is structured. So it's just really big.
I might start doing that. I've just been too stubborn to change it.
Right.
So, but like, I have a terrible memory too, so I would read it
Yeah.
exactly like you said, and I look at a camera, I'm like, ah, crap, I forgot what the line was.
Took me forever. It took me like 2 or 3 hours to like record one video, and
Yeah, that
then
sounds about right.
yeah, and then what my editor would say, because I was doing it with the editor at that point, is that, for example, I would actually look at the camera like this. I would deliver the line, but then I would move my eyes to the screen to see the next thing, and then because he's trying to put it together, he was like, there is no way that I can put your eyes on the camera all the time because you're looking at the screen so much.
That's
And
where the B-roll comes in.
exactly, that's what
Yeah.
exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
But it becomes really bad for the edit. So I feel for him, poor guy. He's been through a lot. Um, we have a super chat. Purple Haze, thank you very much once again, man. Appreciate the support, highly appreciate it. So I think Purple Haze is asking a question that he asked yesterday. And I think yesterday we had animation directors here, and I think he's asking the same thing here, where he asks, and unfortunately I cannot put it on the channel on the screen because for some reason the super chats don't show up on the software that I'm using. But he asks, is it frowned upon when I've been trying to break into the industry? I've been taking mentorship courses, and my animation peers say my animations are great, but I can't land a job in the States. And like, I think he wants to create his own game eventually. So is that frowned upon? We can start with Jerome.
I just want to make sure I understand the question correctly. Is it frowned upon that he's working hard on his animations and trying to land a job in the industry?
Yeah. So he's been trying to break into the industry, and he's been taking mentorships, working hard. His peers actually say that his animations are great, but he can't seem to land a job.
I fail to see why that would be frowned upon. You're trying really hard to break into an industry where you absolutely love the craft. I don't see anything that would be frowned upon about that.
Mm.
I guess the only thing I could say in relation to that is keep grinding, because clearly you're investing in yourself. You've got mentors. People are saying that your animations are dope, so you're clearly improving. Maybe just the market that you're trying to find an opportunity in isn't the best right now. So I know that many animators have done this throughout their life, and I don't know where you are in yours, but maybe consider trying to relocate if that's a possibility for you.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, because he says he's in the States, so it's the perfect market. Europe and the US, you in the right place. So, but yeah, maybe moving to another city or something like that. Yeah, Brian, what do you think?
I think what I got from the question was that he's he's trying hard to get into the industry. He doesn't have luck with that, good luck with that, and he wants to create his own game without actually being in the industry. And I think he's trying to ask if that's frowned upon, making a game without the experience. That's sort of what I got from it. And to that, I'd say you can make your own game. That's not frowned upon, but I think if you try and start a studio without ever working in a studio, that not frowned upon, but that's just not advisable. Because you wouldn't know the inner workings of a studio. The things you would learn things the hard way with your own money or investor money on the line.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna make a game, make it a passion game. Make it by yourself or make it with a few friends, but don't try and get investments and those sort of things to do it. once you do make a game, and if it does well, then you have some social proof, let's say, on your expertise, and you could then look into maybe starting a studio and whatnot. But definitely don't start off trying to make a studio.
Absolutely. What about you, Jerome? Pierrick, sorry.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Brian. So basically, if you want to, especially with games nowadays, it's kind of complicated if you're a beginner. But if you do it as a passion project, it can become a key for you to break in the industry. And the other question I would have, and this is a thing we discussed before, is what do you mean by breaking into the industry? Is it landing a job at Riot Games, at Blizzard? Yeah, that can be tough, there are jobs, so you need to put the cursor based on your level, and you also need to create the right content to go to those studios or all the studios. And that's always my advice. Just try to find an animation related job first, and then you'll find other jobs, because the hardest thing is to get a first step into the industry. It's even harder to put your foot in the studio you want to work with. But you can find a lot of indie studio that are looking for animator, junior animator, mid-level animator, that are not as well known, but maybe you'll have a blast and you'll progress, and then you'll have a relevant portfolio, with what an animation studio is expecting from someone, a full set of animation for a game, for example, not just, a super flashy 3-hit combos. We all do that, but this is not necessarily what they are looking for, so that would be my 50 cents on that.
Amazing, amazing. And Jerome?
Yeah, I just want to revisit the question because I think Brian did a really good job of breaking it down. I love both Pierrick and Brian's answers, and I just want to go a bit deeper into that. So yeah, if your question is really about, oh, is it frowned upon to start your own company and going into games, I would probably advise against that, just because games are hard. Like, running a studio is super hard. And without the experience of actually running a studio, working, well, not necessarily running a studio, but working in games, you'd potentially end up costing yourself a lot of money, where it'd be better and more advisable for you to actually gain the experience first. But Pierrick said something so key right there. What does breaking into the industry actually mean? Because it doesn't have to be Disney, Riot. It doesn't have to be all these big, super top end studios. Like, my first role in animation was actually nothing to do with games. I remember my first role in animation was actually working for another university, York, in their history department, doing like 3D animation and visualization for them. So
Wow.
breaking into the industry is really about being paid to animate. So whatever that opportunity is, take it with both hands and use that as your springboard to get where you want to get to. That's what I really wanted to say.
Epic, epic. Great answers. I think there's nothing I can add to that. I hope Purple Haze that actually answers your question, because I think yesterday we had a similar answer from the animation directors when it comes to creating, if it is about creating your own game that you want to do. Like, I think that's what you should do by yourself without thinking about exactly where you want to land. And I feel like if you do that, it will land you to where you want to land, if this is what you want to do. But do it because you want to do it, not because you want to get a job, if that's the idea. And if it's creating your own company, I think I agree with Jerome. Like, just do your own game first and see how hard that is, and go through that journey before you actually spend money actually investing in getting your own company, because games requires experience. I don't think there's any other industry that requires more experience than games. And every single game that I've seen with no experience involved, and normally ends up kind of like not making it very well, or it's not a lot of fun to play. Cool. So also, changing subject, I want to also open the floor for you guys, Jerome, Brian, and Pierrick, to ask questions of the chat. Because yesterday, for the first time, we asked questions of the chat about things and we actually got really interesting answers back about favorite games, and, like, if people were freelancing or like self-taught or something like that. So if you guys come up with any questions that you guys want to ask anybody, please let me know, and then we can ask them, and then wait for the answers. It's a lot of fun actually.
I'm curious.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious if how do people feel in chat about AI and in terms of like the risk of AI taking over animation and animators. Like, are you afraid of AI taking animation? Is that's stopping you from pursuing animation? Curious how people feel about that right now.
Great question. Great question. Love that. So yeah, please chat. Let us know how you feel, and we'll answer. If you have questions as well, let us know. I want to leave the AI question for the end because it's such an elephant in the room, and there's so much to talk about, and there's also a lot of questions. So if you guys don't mind, so we have Amaresh. Amaresh is actually a super awesome tech animator. Amaresh was here also yesterday with also super awesome tech animators. And he asks, how do you structure the video topics initially when there are so many things in your mind that you want to share? And I'll start with Pierrick with his experience.
Make it multiple videos. That was the mistake I used to do, is make a 30-minute video with like several topics around one major topic. And then you realize you spent so much time recording it, and people lose attention faster and faster. And so now when I do a course, for example, I used to do like 20, 25 minutes videos. Now I try to keep them like 5 to 8 minutes long maximum, so that you talk about a very specific topic, you go around it, and then you go to the next topic. And it's easier for your audience to get back to a video, whether it's YouTube or a selling content or whatever. And yeah, you just split it. It will allow you to make more content and get better content too, because you're more organized. So yeah, just make more videos.
Yeah, amazing. And Brian?
I would agree with Pierrick for sure. I started doing that more recently with YouTube, trying to make shorter videos that are on one topic instead of like a 20-minute video, a 15 to 20-minute video. Some of our course videos are like 1 hour and some even like hour and a half, because it's just like the entire process of animating and like talking as you're animating. Edited down to the key points, but it still ends up being very long. And for sure, it's mentally hard for people to kind of tackle that. And I know some people are like, oh, I've been putting off watching this video for like a couple of days. I finally build up the courage to like take it on, and I'm like, oh, well, that's not good actually, because
Yeah.
it should be a lot more digestible. So I think going forward, for our videos, like again, like both for the Academy side and YouTube, it'll definitely go for like much shorter, more
Bite
consumable
size.
videos, bite-sized, yeah. And right now, especially with the little one, and my brain finally caught up. It's a bassinet, not a crib.
Oh, okay, got it, yeah.
So with the little one, time is so precious right now that I would have to go for like topics that I have like a list, like 2 full pages of just like video ideas that I want to make, but I have to kind of go for the ones that are manageable right now, that don't require me to spend several hours animating for the video, that it's more like lecture format where it's a topic that I know well and I can talk about, um, versus actually in program and like animating and whatnot. So it's
Yeah.
definitely time restrictions are forcing some of these decisions as well.
Man, I feel for you because it takes a while for you to get not only used to being a parent, because it's already hard enough for any parent outside out there,
I
well, a
need to
brand new
wait.
parent, but also then like restructure your life around what you used to do before so you can continue doing it, right? So major kudos to you, Brian. I know that's tough. But once you actually get it, you'll see it's super enjoyable. And when you actually kind of switch off from that life of work, you enjoy your family even more. It's a great ride. Jerome, what do you think?
Well, I'd have to agree with what both the guys have said here. I definitely resonate with the time thing, because when I started making videos, they were always in excess of an hour.
Mm,
And then what I'd find is that the audience retention was super low because people's attention spans are lower nowadays. But what I found as I've gotten better at teaching in general is to be more concise with the way that I speak and also the way that I teach. So that's made me actually start to develop scripts. And I think that's where I transitioned from doing it just run and gun, camera, no script, to actually starting to script some things out so that I can deliver things in a more concise manner so that I can actually give you the information that you're looking for. So I look at it this way: it's better to have shorter videos because in a way I'm actually serving you better, the person watching it, rather than having this long format video where I'm rambling on. There's value in having longer form videos, but I find nowadays people really want bite-sized digestible content. So that's really what I focus on.
Agree. Couldn't agree more. And I think there's something to be said about you switching topics within a video as well, because I used to do that a lot in the beginning. I used to actually kind of like if I cram a bunch of ideas in one video, people get more engaged because like, oh, and this is interesting and this is interesting. But what you'll find is that people normally switch off because they might be interested in your first idea, but then after the first idea, they go, I'm not too sure about this. And then eventually, if it's too long, they'll actually switch off. So if you just talk about one topic for like 10 to 15 minutes, people have enough stomach for that. And it's just one thing. And then if they don't like it, they can move on to the next video. But if they like it, they'll stay with that video. And then the next video you can break it down again. And also, you run out of ideas. This is something that we all go through every so often, right? I guess they call it writer's block, but it's contents block. I don't know exactly what the term is, but at some point or another, you're gonna find a week that you're like, what the hell am I gonna talk about this week? And that's normally because you just blasted through all the good ideas because you were so excited that you just ended up with nothing else to shoot. So if you just kind of like break them down into little bits, it ends up being much better for you as well in the long run, which is really cool. So we have a few answers for you, Brian, about AI, just so we can basically like not forget as we go through the chat. So Josal says there's definitely a feeling of hopelessness with AI taking over. I can see a vision of AI that can help everyone everywhere. What we have right now is not it. Porochi says, personally, I believe AI will never take away my motivation and direction to create because AI doesn't have that and frankly would never be able to replicate. Yeah, that's a cool answer. That's a really cool answer. The Apex Predator says, AI can only create derivative content. True originality can only come from people. Carlos says, my answer to AI is extremely long for these chats, so he didn't actually add it in. And Bunny Hop Development says, AI needs something to steal from, while us animators can create anything, and we know humans. Miss Disney Villain, love that name, by the way. Mrs. Disney Villain. AI is an interesting topic. It has its benefits, but I also don't like what I'm seeing companies doing because of this new software. And wait. I worry for the entry-level positions that it might deplete. They are all valid. So, like Brian, like, oh, there's more. About AI. Gameplay animator, 10 years experience here. Game animation is complex enough that even if AI creates assets, my technical expertise and knowledge about graphs, systems, and wait, there's something else. Honestly, if I don't have to produce 64 transitions or clean it up from mocap, I would take it. I want to animate the cool stuff. I don't think AI is creative enough man, it disappears too quick, apologies. I don't think AI is creative enough to come up with interesting stylized animations, I guess. Cool. I actually think that I was going to leave this for the end, but I think we should basically tackle the AI since we're talking about AI so much, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, fire away.
Oh, so Brian, you asked the question, so I'll let you go
Yeah.
first.
I mean, I like the I think it was by the Apex Predator,
Yeah.
where they said that basically AI needs to steal, and it doesn't necessarily have creativity, which is true. I mean, even if you look at that, before the live, we kind of talked about the Coca-Cola ad
Mm,
that they use generative AI on.
yep.
We talked about how there's continuity issues with it from like one clip to the next. So we're still, even at the high end, they even hired a studio. There were still continuity issues with generative AI
Yeah,
at a high level. I feel like that's the high level as you could get.
for sure.
Yeah. So put that aside. Um, a lot of the clips in that ad are basically copies of what they've done in previous years, like with their live footage. So they've
Yeah,
taken the live footage of their ad from previous years
yeah,
and have used that to train these ads and make these trucks basically put a skin, like a wrapper, essentially on top of the same shots,
yeah.
or like very similar shots. So even hiring a studio that's using generative AI, there is a lack of creativity. Um,
Yeah,
so it, I think that that does ring true. And
100%.
yeah, and
Yeah.
even with generative AI, they still hired a studio essentially. I think I don't know how many artists, but I think I saw behind the scene videos, and there was at least a dozen or two artists actually working, as far as I know, working on like these ads and trying to add touch ups and try and fix some of that continuity issues and whatnot. So there were still artists involved.
Yeah, it's funny though because yeah, Brian and I were talking about this offline, and they're like I feel like the ad for this year because I had one for 2024, and it was this one I think, and I don't see a lot of difference between the one that they had last year and this. I feel like it's all because it's AI like it's not memorable. I feel like it's like they have animals and they have a truck and they have Coca-Cola and that's it. That's all the things that you remember from the ad. There's no story, there's no like, like it's not doesn't connect. And then the only thing you can like notice is very much like the mistake, especially on this one. And I think this is why maybe they hired a company to help them because you can see like for example the wheels of the trucks are not spinning at some point. The
Yeah.
people are creepy. Can you see that here? Like this, the wheels are not spinning. He's just like translating on the floor and stuff. So I guess they actually had to involve humans to make them a little bit better, but they still went yet again with AI one more year,
Yeah.
which is really really sad when everybody kind of like already told them last year that things were not really working for this.
I mean, you see these smiling faces, and then like it's AI. It gives you zero feeling.
That's
It
zero
gives you
feeling.
it's
Yeah.
soulless. And I think you nailed it with it not being memorable.
Mm,
And the AI video I just uploaded last week, I think it was, I talked about how animation isn't just about pretty images moving on the screen.
agree.
It's an intention of action essentially through
Yeah,
time. So it's that intention of the movement, intention of the action is what you're feeling when you're watching the animation.
that's it.
And AI doesn't have intention behind it. It's just you give it a prompt on what you like to see, and it produces those pretty images back to back,
Hmm.
with continuity issues, as we've been saying. But um, so which makes it not memorable. Like a lot of the movies you see in or you remember from like a decade ago, The Lion King, let's say,
Yeah,
there's like the certain scenes stick with you because of the intention behind them, because of the artistry behind it, right? If it was just generative imagery of like this movement, and it wouldn't stick with you. It wouldn't be memorable.
completely. And actually, sorry, I'm passionate about it. I also made a video about this for the ad last year, and it's funny though because when one of the things that I've noticed as well is that when the images are still, they kind of look okay. But the thing that I keep going about is when the images move, that's when you lose that. Like here, like something is odd with that, right? It's like the eyes are the soul and all the communication and how we look at each other and what he's saying. He's not saying back anything back to me when you look at AI, and it's so creepy. And it reminds me of the early days of mocap when cinema used to be like, just let's just capture a mocap and not get animators involved and let's put it in the movies. And it was also incredibly creepy. So apologies because I got too passionate about this. So anyways, Jerome, what do you think about AI as well?
Well, I've got a lot of thoughts about AI, but let's dive in a little bit more about what you guys already said. I think animation, like you said, is more than just pretty pictures. There's an emotion behind it, and I think that's what was missing with that specifically that Coca-Cola ad, especially with the eyes. It's
Mm,
soulless. It feels dead.
yeah,
And even when I look at the creatures, even some of the ways that they move that make them feel organic and natural, I don't feel that when I'm watching it.
yeah,
And sure, I can pick out little details, but it's really about the emotion behind it. And AI just can't capture that. You
yeah,
give it a prompt, it acts on the prompt. For example, we're all animators, and you could all tell us to animate the exact same scene. What's the chances that we're all gonna pull out the exact same thing?
yeah,
Zero. It's not gonna
100%.
happen. How you would animate something versus how I would do it versus how Brian would do it versus how Pierrick would do it would invoke a different emotion because we're putting our character, our intention, how we interpret the direction in that scene.
Yep.
And AI simply doesn't do that. And one thing I will say, AI does have its uses. At the end of the day, you guys remember, you guys been in the industry for a while. You guys remember when mocap was first a thing
Hmm.
and how everyone was freaking out, how it's gonna, take our jobs.
100%.
And then today, what ends up happening? We just use it as a tool in some ways to make our pipelines more efficient. And
Yeah.
I see AI doing the same thing. And I think someone in the chat mentioned it, where they said they didn't want to animate, all the different variations of an animation. And if AI can do that and save them that time, they're happy to do that.
Yep.
And they really just want to animate the cool stuff. I think that's a good example of how AI can be powerful and used in production. But what we've seen with the Coca-Cola ad, that for me is just soulless. And it doesn't even take an animator to point it out.
Yep.
People can see it because even as people who aren't animators, they're experts in human motion. We know when something just doesn't look right, even if
Yep.
they can't articulate why that is.
Yeah, something
So
is off.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. And now that you mentioned like mocap, this is why I'm not super worried about it, and I'm so passionate about it because do you guys remember Polar Express?
Oh yeah.
I do.
Everybody. So for those in the chat, this is why we're all laughing. For those in the chat that haven't watched Polar Express, please go back and watch this because this is the epitome of a director wanting to use mocap with no animators and basically fully believing that we can basically capture all this. Basically, pretty much every single character in the movie is Tom Hanks as well. And the more you watch it, like you start watching it, you don't know exactly what's wrong, and then the more you watch it, the more weird it becomes. And I think that there's this scene specifically here when they start dancing in the train that like it's off for so many reasons. And once again, it starts okay, but then you start looking at people's faces because that's what you look at, right? When you're looking at people randomly, you look at the face first, the eyes, the body, and then you start to see that everything is wooden and everything is a little bit odd. And then the more you look at it, you more go like, this is so creepy. And it just gets creepier the more you watch it. And you don't know exactly why. And the amount of people that I got saying like, why is this so weird? They can't really point out exactly why it's weird, but they know that it's not good and they don't want to watch it again. It's an experience they don't want to go to relive again when it comes to Polar Express. And I think this is going to be ultimately what the AI is going to become. Is this thing that you realize there's limitations and then is useful for certain things, but not useful for other things, like communicating with people and connecting with humans and having feelings and emotions and stuff. So yeah, Pierrick, what do you think?
Yeah, so I can be very cynical at times,
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
no, no. I think it can be a problem, as expressed in the chat, for entry-level positions,
Mhm.
because it will indeed remove a lot of the pain, or the labor that can be involved in animation, like fix anim or stuff like that. Maybe AI could be used for that or will be used for that.
Yeah,
But it's definitely gonna be a tool. It's like internet. It's like having a home studio, making music at home. Now anybody can make music at home. I used to have a band, and got into a studio and recorded, the old way. And a couple of years later, we were doing our music ourselves. And so nowadays, people generate music with AI, but still, you're listening most of the time to human being. You go to concert and stuff like that. So the positive thing I would have to say is that I think people will always be attached to some kind of I don't know how to find the word in English, but basically that it has been made by a human. That's why we spend so much time on Instagram or stuff watching people doing stuff, like watching Aaron Blaze animating on paper, for example. And you're
Beautiful.
like, wow,
Amazing.
that's so cool,
Mm.
or watching someone animating with a digital puppet, or whatever,
Yeah.
but just, drawing. And because we can relate to that, we all try to draw something when we were a kid or whatever. So consuming cute cats or stupid, AI videos, it's fun for 5 minutes, but at some point, you're okay. That's it. You can't, like it doesn't bring anything more than that. And in our job, we are trying to bring, in a way, more value.
Yeah.
And again, at first, I think we've become animator because we wanted to make animation. And this is
Yeah.
what makes you a little better. And maybe in 10 years, using AI in everything will be like the standard. It's almost there already.
Hmm.
But if you're already a better animator, you'll be an even better animator using AI than the people that are only using AI.
Exactly.
I often receive comments or stuff like, "Oh, like." I had a couple of comments on the latest short I made, like, "Oh, you spend so much time doing it, while I can do that with a couple of prompts." And I was like,
Really?
yeah. And so I just send, "Oh, good for you, cool. Yeah,
Great.
you can't. You just have to answer this way because as soon as you start the fight, you're
That's it.
gonna lose, and they will answer using AI most of the time. Probably. Oh,
ChatGPT, what should I say about this comment?
he said I'm I'm naughty. What should I say?
We're gonna go from chat, what do you think, to chat GPT, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone's gonna
Really
use
has
chat
Uh,
GPT to respond.
So yeah,
amazing.
I'm confident. It's really there are days I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, does it make sense or whatever, or where it's really like breaking my nerve a little bit because it's more than what we do. It's a bit everywhere. So there are a lot of jobs that are kind of mutating in a way. But
Yeah.
I think in the long term, it's gonna be, as always, producing faster and better quality.
That's
So
it.
once we find the balance, there will be more games, more animated content, but people will always go to the best animated content or the one that speaks to them, because it was handcrafted or because they've seen the process. And that's also a reason why I think like sharing what you do is a great way to get an audience, but also land a job because it resonates. When you're
Absolutely.
showing how you do stuff, that's really a value as an artist, I think.
Completely. Yeah, no, I absolutely am with you on that because to me, just to to basically add a little bit to that as well, because I think that's brilliant, is like I think a lot of people see art, doesn't matter if it's a painting or animation or a film or whatever, as like the final product all the time. But if you really truly think about any piece of art, it's not really about the final product, it's the journey that took you to that final product, right? When you actually watch a piece of Van Gogh or like Leonardo da Vinci, right? Like that, the stories that you can hear about the stuff, how he actually created these things and the Mona Lisa and, like all of these things, it just becomes bigger. Like for us, when we started with the animators of our kit, what was captivating was like Richard Williams talking about Milt Kahl and how he used to be grumpy and how he actually met the other guys and how he actually going about like learning from the masters and Brad Bird every time he talked about the Incredibles or anything he was always talking about how he was an in-betweener and how he got but then he's an amazing director now and does amazing work, right? But that's how we I feel like that's how as humans we connect with each other, because now I want to learn from him. Like I feel like we have this here as well. Like if Jerome made it as a lead, how can I be a lead? If Brian made it as a person that has now a company and he's now sharing his knowledge, how can I be like Brian? How can I be like Pierrick and be a freelancer? I want to know about the journey. What was the decision making that got them there, right? Because I want to be the same. But clicking a button and then getting something becomes almost like you just can discard stuff. Like he's not, there's no value to it. I mean, right? And I think we never will, as humans, I don't think we'll ever go over that barrier of like just having things that is recyclable like that. I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah, some people are worried, or the way they're voicing their fear is, um, with AI, companies are just going to need to hire like 2, 3 people and make movies like with 2, 3 people. I'm like, well, if you can make movies with 2, 3 people, then you can do it too. If
Yep.
anything, that's detriment to the companies. You don't need a whole company
Yeah.
to do that anymore. You get two friends together and you can make a movie if it comes to
100%.
that. If anything, that's a good thing. It's a good thing for you. It's a bad thing for big companies.
That's it. Also, the barrier of entry is a thing for companies, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
100%. Awesome answers. You guys are being absolutely great. We're halfway through this. Thanks for being troopers. I appreciate you guys having being here. I hope you guys are having fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these things normally fly through because everybody has opinions and stuff. And chat, you guys are amazing. We have about 50 to 55 people watching us live. I appreciate everybody watching us now. Please keep kind of like dropping your questions, and let us know what you guys want to know. Also, Jerome, Pierrick, you guys can ask questions of the chat. Brian already used his token of the questions, so Jerome, Pierrick, you guys can have a token as well. It's no problem.
We'll ask the question in the chat a little bit later. I did have a question for Brian though.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Brian, have you read the book Key Person of Influence?
I haven't. I haven't.
Yeah, because you're a business owner, I'll send it to you, but it's a really useful book. And one of the things it talks about is the evolution of technology, like how you used to have these big companies to have to put products out there, lessons, etc. And now with technology, you don't need such a big team. You can do it with like, just a person in their bedroom. And the reason I bring that up is because you mentioned about AI and how it can potentially remove a barrier for entry. I think that's a really powerful way of looking at it.
Hmm.
Use the tools that are available to you to actually platform you and elevate you rather than looking at them as a restriction. It's really about your mindset. But I'll send you that book, but it does talk about that. And when you mentioned that, it just triggered a memory from reading it.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll check it out. I mean,
Yeah.
I think every month I try to consume at least like one, um, not self-help, like a growth kind of mindset book. So for sure, I'll add that to the list. Thank you.
100%. Um, I'll please send me that as well, Jerome. I'll love to
Of
hear
course.
to find out more about it. Um, so Lenny Brandt asks, do you guys ever thought about quitting animation? As a beginner or relatively new animator, I'm at a point where I constantly compare myself to others, and I instantly feel bad about my work. Um, I will start with Pierrick.
Um, so no, first, I really love animation, and I got into it like pretty late, like almost 10 years ago now, and I'm 44. So I do compare myself to the other all the time, and it's whether reassuring or I'm totally destroyed. I sometimes see 20 years old people outputting animation, and you're like, oh shit, I'm so bad at animation. But that's super stimulating too. Like I think, and it's like for all art, but I think it's for any craft. If you're a cook or whatever, at some point and you like what you do, you're always evolving, and you will always see like a new one coming in and being way better than you with like half the experience. And you whether quit or get motivated. And I think if you like what you do, you get even more motivated. The thing I will do is try to get in touch with those guys.
Mm,
This is what I try to do. So it's easier because I do have the YouTube thing, and that could be also an idea for you to start yours, to be on social media and stuff. But when you see someone like doing crazy cool stuff, just send a message and say you like it, and you
100%.
can, get some advices. And sometimes just having, hey, thank you, and what you do is also cool, just keeps you ongoing, So yeah, I would say it's motivating more than anything else.
Absolutely. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, like Pierrick said, sometimes you just look online and you're like, oh my gosh, this person's like, 18 or like 20. They just started, they've been animating for a couple of years and they're like, they're this good. Um, Talent is a thing, hard work, of course. You can, I believe you can learn anything, but some people are, you could say, more talented in certain things than others, but that doesn't necessarily stop you. It's not a zero-sum game.
Mm.
It doesn't stop you from pursuing your passion. Uh, I've worked in studios where we had, like mid animators, like intermediate animators, that were at a higher, in terms of just animation, at a higher skill set than like the supervisors. And um, you'd get comments from the supervisors in like a laughing tone that, oh my God, you're just trying to show off at this point, like, oh, of course you took this to like, the insane level. What the hell? Um, it's just, that's life. That's life. Now, have I ever thought about quitting? No, but I'm sure my mother would love for that to happen because she still wants me to become a doctor or engineer to this day. Um, yeah, I think just 2 years ago, she mentioned, what do you think about going to school again? Maybe get like an engineering degree. I'm like, mother, I have a business. Like I've been working in animation for half a decade. Like, so it's I haven't thought about it, but I'm sure my mom dreams about it.
Yeah, that's
It's
cool.
okay. She has my sister now. She's going into like medical school.
Oh,
So
she's not going to ask you that question again.
no, whew,
Amazing.
yeah.
Jerome?
Yeah, I'll answer the question directly. I've never thought about quitting animation. I've always looked at it like this. There's always two ways you can look at something. I can look at somebody's work and think, oh man, I'm never going to be that good. Or I can look at that work and be like, oh man, that's awesome. How on earth did you do that?
Mm.
I'll tell you a quick story. I remember it was my first week at Creative Assembly. And Creative Assembly, I was working on Warhammer 3 at the time, and they have some amazing animators there. And even though I was a pretty decent animator in my own right, when I got there, I quickly realized that, wow, I'm the weakest animator here. But rather than me thinking to myself like, oh man, I'm probably gonna lose my job. I'm not gonna make probation. I thought, do you know what? Let me take a different approach. I asked all of those animators, how on earth did you get this to be so awesome? And what you often find is that the animation community is one, small, and two, everyone around here is generally super helpful. You'd
Hmm.
be surprised the amount of advice and guidance that people would give you just for free. Like I remember there was an animator. He was actually ended up being the lead at Creative Assembly. Elliot. He gave me so much advice and guidance, and as a result of that, I improved my animations drastically. So if you ever feel like, oh, there's someone's work out there that's just much better than yours, one, there's always going to be someone better than you. But look at that and use that to elevate yourself, to inspire yourself, because if they can get that good, there's no reason you can't as well. Like Brian said, it's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great answer. And shout out to Elliot because Elliot is a really talented animator and a good friend as well. He's really cool. Um, uh, yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think as well, like, so for me, I actually thought about quitting once, and that was before I joined. I finally made it, and sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you kind of like you tried everything, you have good work, you see other people making it that have less talent than you, or their show reel is less than yours, and you start questioning things like why did they get it and I didn't get it and stuff. And I was genuinely about to quit because I was sending show reels everywhere and nobody was actually hiring me. And just like Purple Haze mentioned before, people were saying that my stuff was good, but then again, it's like, are they saying it because they're my friends or is it actually good and stuff like that? But like it's funny because as I was grinding the hardest and I was feeling like I was going to quit, Like I think I stopped animating when I was animating every single day for like a year or two. Like when I stopped animating for about a month or two because I was like, I'm gonna quit this stuff. That's when I first got my first opportunity. Somebody was like, "Would you like to come here?" But also second, um, it's funny though because I felt like I couldn't leave it alone because it was truly my passion. And if it's actually for you to do, and you genuinely feel passionate about it, and it's like a calling, and you just cannot stop animating, and this is what you want to do, like I don't think you can actually truly quit. I feel like a part of you just wants to come back to this thing, and you can mute it, you can stop it, but I feel like you always want to do it some way, somehow. Maybe you have to find another job. Maybe your financial situation, my financial situation was not great. I had to get money at that point. This is why I wanted to quit. But I don't know. I felt like if I was going to quit for real, I'll probably get another job somewhere and I'll continue animating and trying. That's the feeling that I had eventually. Thankfully, I got a job, but it took me about 4 years to get there. So I hope you feel the same because it's not easy, unfortunately, for a lot of people. And also, now that Jerome is here, there was this good, a really super talented animator that we work with, and his name was Dave. And David was like arguably the best animator that we had at Creative Assembly at the time. He worked with me at and Warhammer 2. And I think when you joined Jerome, because I had left by then, he was also working with you, right?
I actually didn't work with Dave.
No,
I actually know his work very, very well. I never met him. David Vince, right?
David Vance, yeah. So
Yeah, awesome
exactly.
animator.
Awesome animator. So just to put things in perspective, his showreel took off like, and it was actually super viral. Yeah, I think he has at some point now must have hundreds of thousands of views um, because it's so good. And he has a couple actually, and both his showreels are amazing. I'm gonna try and find it at some point and share it with you guys, if not now, later. But David Vince told me the story that it took him 7 years and a half to get his first job. And then I had a look at his showreel because like I'm really curious to find out what kind of showreel were you sending to people. And he showed me his showreel, and his showreel was amazing. And Greg, which at that point was the lead animator in the Creative Assembly, was the only one they gave him a choice after 7 years. And Dave was animating on a laptop, no mouse, no nothing, with a trackpad and the AWS, just animating like this for 7 years because you couldn't really have a better computer. And if that doesn't show determination of how to be an animator, I don't know what does, which is incredible. And nowadays, he was working at Guerrilla Games. He's like one of the best animators there as well, and working in Horizon games and stuff. So sometimes it just takes a while for you to get it, you know. So there's always hope, I think. Um, okay, cool. So more questions. Let me just scroll up. Let me see. I should really have this like lined up for you guys, right?
It's all good, man.
In the meantime, I just want to say I'm angry because I wasted so many hours playing Warhammer 2.
Yeah.
Because, oh yeah, like I think the first Warhammer and the second one are the games I've spent the most hours in my life. And when I was
Really?
watching, on Steam, the number of hours, I felt really bad and I removed everything from the computer because I was wasting my life. Like those games are amazing and there are amazing animations.
That is incredible. Like I didn't know. So you were, yeah. Like the game was actually a lot of fun to work in,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Creative Assembly is really cool, as Jerome can
yeah. And
attest
Warhammer, when I was like 14, I used to paint the
to
minis
actually
and
paint.
stuff.
Yeah, like in Creative Assembly, we actually had like lots of kits for free that you could just get and paint.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you still had it, Jerome, when you were there. Was
Yeah,
a whole
yeah,
room.
still do that. And every once in a while you go to the actual Games Workshop factory, and that was awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
I never did. That didn't happen when I was there. That was an upgrade. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's dope. It's so dope.
That it must be amazing. Did they give you like a box to take with you at the end?
Not at a factory. You do sometimes get like, a few characters, a few figurines and stuff, but when you actually go to the factory, like these things, the scale of them are huge. When I'm telling
Yeah.
you some of them, they're about 4 or 5 times the size of me. And when you see them wide scale, you're like, oh man, someone actually took time to paint all of that.
That's
That's some
insane.
serious dedication.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a lot of paint as well. So Chromosome asks, would you recommend tutorials or walkthroughs or more talking head content? Which one builds or moves the needle the most when it comes to content? I guess we all tried a bit of everything. So, Pierrick, what do you think?
Well, you know my answer. Do
I do because
whatever
we
you
talked behind the scenes. You told me
yeah,
before.
do whatever you want. So basically,
Yeah.
you can try all of them. I think I tried all of them, but in the end, the one where I get pleasure, where I think I'm better at, is making like more technical tutorials, or more software centric or technique centric, like for animation, for example, doing a body mechanic exercise, more than talking about the history of animation or the philosophy of animation or all that stuff, because it's my thing and it's the thing I'm comfortable with.
Mhm.
While Harvey, you're more talking about the industry, talking about, like a lot of thing about the atmosphere around the craft, not
Yeah.
necessarily specifically about the craft itself
Yeah.
all the time. And I think you're doing it because this is what you like to do, I guess.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that's my take on this one.
Amazing. Brian.
I think I'm kind of like the mix of you both, because but maybe more in Harvey's corner when it comes to just being like just talking about um, concepts around the industry, around animation. Um, but at the same time, maybe I make tutorials like in software tutorials as well. But I think I do like more just more like lecture type
Mm.
videos more. Now I don't know if I fully understand the question.
Oh, I think the person just Chromosome just wants to know if there's a type of content that gives you the most visibility. If it's more like Pierrick
Oh,
tutorials or
yeah.
talking heads.
I so I think tutorials get less views in general. That depends on the tutorial.
Mm.
Uh, but I think tutorials get less views, but the views you get are more valuable. For example, uh, well, just in general, it's not just about views, because I used to make like reaction videos.
Mhm.
I don't do that so much anymore, but it was more like react and then analyze the animation a little bit, talk about some of the stuff that happened throughout that animation. And yeah, you borrow a lot of views from the cinematic itself, people trying to watch reaction videos of the cinematic. So like those were some of my highest viewed videos.
Mhm.
But then if you look at the click through in the description to links, you have a video with like 200,000 views that gets less link clicks than a tutorial with less than 10,000 views.
Yep.
So which view is more valuable,
Mhm.
Um, the the $20 you make from YouTube ads from that video, or like the many more people clicking on like the links to go to your website, to your school, to your academy, whatever. So not all views are the same. So
Yeah, that's wise. And you, Jerome.
Yeah, I'd have to echo that. Not all views are equal. Because I've done all of them. I've done the in software tutorials, I've done the talking head videos around the industry, and I've spoken specifically about, how things were in animation. I've done all three. But I guess the reply I would really have to that was, you got to ask yourself a key question. What is your intention behind the video? And the reason I jumped on YouTube in the first place is because I felt like I had something I could give and people that I could help.
Mhm.
And if the video that I put out ends up helping just a few people in a really impactful and valuable way, then it's done its job. And I think when you approach it that way and there's a passion behind it, the views will come naturally, because you'll find that the audience that's for you will actually gravitate to you. So always check yourself about what it is that you want to get from it. Is it about just the pure numbers? Because quite frankly, if it's the pure numbers, I probably wouldn't recommend animation be your niche, because there's much there's much other topics
For
that are out
sure.
there that can get you a lot of views very quickly.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more about this. And I think that people like a lot of people see views as just numbers in there. You just want to have the most numbers and the most like, the bigger the number, the better it is. Doesn't matter if it's subscribers or views and stuff. But I think what you should, if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, what you should think about is like you need to find your people within those numbers. And if you find your people, you guys probably most likely heard about you only need, was it 1,000 loyal fans in order to build a brand or something like that? Um, that's basically what you're looking for. You're looking for people that basically are there for you, that like believe in you, that watch your videos all the time. And I think we all have it in some way or another after putting so many years here. Like, like we had comments here about like, Pierrick, oh, I love Pierrick, he's my favorite and stuff. Like, people follow you, right? They will actually follow you. They will actually support you in what you and I need to do. And that's basically what you're looking for. You need quality instead of quantity. And it's one of those things that you only realize it when you make this, because initially you'll feel very deflated. Initial video that I said it took me 6 months and a half, I think I had like 40 views on that video. And the deflation that comes from putting so much effort in so little reward, it's a lot. But you need to keep going. You need to find new people, and eventually it clicks, and it's great. Cool. More questions. So I have somebody else here that asked, can I find it again? Can I find it again? Oh yeah. So Ryan Likos. Jerome, do you actually went to university here in the UK?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Would you recommend the universities here in the UK?
Well, it depends what university you go to. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, so the university I went to, I can actually recommend it because it taught me the craft of animation. Like it gave me a very strong foundation because my actual degree is actually in computer games animation. So I got to learn about game engines, how to interact with artists, programmers, designers, and many universities don't offer that or anything even close.
Yeah.
I think they've gotten better, but it would really depend on the university, and you really got to do your research about what they're teaching and if what they're going to be teaching you actually translates to what studios are actually looking for. Because you don't want to spend all of that time and then all of that money, and then there's that big gap between where you are versus where you need to be. So I would really, I can say I can recommend university, but you've really got to evaluate if it's the right one for you. My one at the time, at least, was the right one for me, but there was a lot that I still had to learn after the fact to actually break through.
Yeah. After you finish your bachelor's and
Yeah.
all that stuff, right? And I guess Brian, would you recommend universities in Canada?
Well,
Well,
I think it really does depend because, again, it was. I don't know if I should name drop the bad university, as if that's gonna
maybe
cause me any
maybe
issues.
name the good
But
ones.
well, okay, so for the bad one was in Toronto. It was a very well known university. Um, and if you're in Toronto and you know a university with crayons, that's the one. Um, but the good university was Sheridan, like, which is again, it's like competing for like number one for animation schools in I think in Canada,
Mhm.
and that's where I actually learned what I needed to learn to get into the industry. Um, that being said, there was so many other things that we learned about. Like we learned about rigging. That's when I knew I never want to do rigging again. No
Yeah.
offense, Pierrick. And it, like it was like storyboards, this, that. You learning all these different things, and animation was just a little part of it. I feel like a lot of the animation I learned was just working on those exercises and studying my own reference and um, and just practicing kind of outside of school.
Right.
That's where I learned the most of it. And but what it did help with was the connections. So I think that's probably the biggest benefit of going to institutional schools, the connections you make.
The connection you
Uh,
make.
yeah, because that school in particular, Sheridan, had an industry day where at the end of the school year, you show the final film you created to studios in the surrounding areas that come to actually look at your work.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how I landed my first job, sort of. That's where I made the initial contact with the recruiter that was there. They saw my film, they made it like positive comment on it, and then I kind of followed it up, um, not with them, but they just said, send in your reel and we'll take a look at it. La da da da. But I decided to go to a VFX conference or just kind of get together in Toronto, like I think 2 days later, and I saw the same recruiter there. And so we got into conversation again, and she remembered me, and she was like, "Okay, you know what? Send your reel. I'll look at it tonight." I did, and like within 2 days, or 2 or 3 days, I got a response, and I got an interview. 2 days after that, I got the job. So within like a week of graduating, I ended up getting my first job
That's great.
because I made that connection in industry day. And of course, like all the students you work with, you'll see in the industry later on. So in that aspect, institutional schools are great. But in terms of learning the skills you need something that's more laser focused, unless you're trying to be like a generalist artist. So,
Yeah, makes sense. What about you, Pierrick? Any other universities that teach animation in France?
So not really, since I learned by myself. But first, I do know Ryan Nikos. He's a student of mine, and he's one of those young guys that humbles you. So I'm not worried about his career. He's doing it on the side, but already got some gigs. Super good animator and rigger already. There are like schools like Sheridan or Les Gobelins in France.
Les
When you
Gobelins.
got there, you don't look for a job. But
Yeah.
to get there, it's like you're already employable. That's the thing. So, but what Brian said that I would bounce on is that real life connections are better than being on internet. So it costs money, it costs time, but if you can go to a show, to I don't know, like the GDC or stuff like that, to meet creatives or people in the industry in real life and have a talk. Sometimes the difference between two animators, it's just the fact that you talk to them in real life, or is
Yeah.
he seems friendlier than the other one that do fancy animation. Like in the end, like working with people, it's about humans. And that's also the thing about YouTube, is that at some point you're showing a part of you, like the best part you're trying to show. what but people get an idea about you. And when you meet people in real life, sometimes maybe an animator is not as good as the other one, but there's like a good connection, and you'd rather work with that guy because it's cool than work with a super animator but that is a diva or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, going to like, if you can't pay for a school or attend a school, then trying to get to those events is always, I think, a good thing. And then regarding school, one of my teacher at the time, because I did some art school, but it was more on the graphic design and stuff, he told me, like, what matters is not the school, is what you do with it. So it's a little, but it's just a way to say what Brian said, is that, okay, they will teach you something or they will show you something, but it's you grinding at home that
Yeah.
will make the difference. And you're in an environment where you just have to do that. Hopefully, if you don't have to work on the side to feed yourself or whatever, it's the time of your life when you are in your early 20s, you are in high school or whatever, you're learning animation, little bits, but you have all the time in the world to grind it. Like, you have 3 or 4 years in front of you where you can do it, and you don't have the responsibility of an apartment, kids, or whatever. So that's the best moment, to do. And you're surrounded by other people doing the same thing,
Yep.
which you may not be when you're a freelancer or whatever, or when
Yeah.
you're searching for a job. Because as usual, the hardest job to find is the first one. Once you
Absolutely.
get the first, you progress super fast, you create connections, like you guys in the game industry, like at your level now, you know, half of the planets working in the game industry. At least a
It's
little
small.
bit. You talk to them, you know, it's always like that. So you, and they will call you, do you know this guy? You know, he said he knows you, blah blah blah. And networking goes that way, you know. It's so yeah, that's
100%.
a
That's
long answer for.
no, no, no. It's a great answer. I love that. Jerome.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off what Pierrick said. Like, going university was cool because it gave me the foundations of 3D. But I think one thing that can't be over or understated
Hmm.
is, yeah, it may give you that foundation, but you really do have to put in the extra hours and the extra time. Like, I remember when I was in my final year, and a lot of people went home for the Christmas period, and I stayed because I really wanted to do the best on my project. And it was actually because I ended up staying, which is why my lecturers recommended me to work with like another university, which got me my first job. So you have to put that work in, and you have to be willing to put that grind. Like, look, there's a reason I lost my hair so young.
It was because of that one moment, right?
Exactly. Hella stress. But the point being is that, yeah, you've got to put the work in. So whether it's university, whether it's, you know, you're doing your own thing, there's the fundamental bottom line is you've got to put in the work. There's no escaping the hours.
100%. I agree. Could not agree more. And like for me to answer that question about universities in the UK, like my experience was not the best, but it was because it was the first time. I believe there was only two universities in 2002 when I started that had an animation specific course. There was nothing else in the UK at that point, and it was the very first year they were doing it. So nobody knew exactly how it would work. And I remember perfectly the teachers were actually they liked animation. They knew a lot. They knew a lot about animation, but they were not animators themselves. So this is why the experience was not great. However, a lot of years have gone past since I actually graduated in 2004, I was, or something like that. So since then, like there's so many universities that do amazing work here in the UK, right? Like Jerome just mentioned, his university was really good. The University of Hertfordshire, I always mess up the name, but that's really amazing. I actually went to do a talk there once, and I saw the students work, and like everybody got like not everybody, but most people got actually hired somewhere. And there was a couple of animators that went directly to Sony ImageWorks to work on the Spider-Man that is now classic, the Miles Morales Spider-Man. Like they actually went. That was the first job they got from university. So it goes to show that things have changed a bunch since I was there. So my story, even though is a bit like stressful and a bit horrific, like Brian, but this is the minority. I feel like most people have a good experience, but they have to have. I think it's all about the teachers who is teaching you, who is actually sharing the knowledge. If you're somebody that has been in the industry, somebody that knows the what he's doing, then I think you're gonna have a really good experience overall, right? Yeah, Pierrick.
Yeah, just to bounce on that, it's gonna be the same in your whole life. You know, you can be in the best studio in the world with the best reputation. If your leads or whatever are dumb or you won't progress. You know, like having the good teacher, there's a big part of luck in your life. You know,
Yeah,
and we talked about Daniel Zettel, for example.
yeah,
He's a great guy, great, fantastic animator. You know, and he was working in a small studio in Germany, and by chance, one of the guy there was a almost retired Disney animator that just teaching a bunch of things. So the guy was having his first little job in a little German studio, and he learned from one of the best in the world. So that's a bit of luck in your life. So yeah, I would recommend schools or universities where there are actual professionals working there that have still a foot in the industry.
hmm,
So people that are still, and that's why as an educational content creator, I try to work for companies every year, just like to be in production
hmm,
and to be at the level or trying to be at the same level and see what's new, how they work, etc. So that when you teach something, it's not just like do a nice hack. Why
yeah,
do we use like those specific way to animate? Why motion capture? Why
yeah,
you know. So yeah, that's the thing. Luck, the people, and work, like learning from professionals is, I think,
Yeah. And just so you know as well, if you're undecided to go to university, there's lots of mentors out there that know a lot. So because once again, the most important thing is learning from people that actually have the experience. So maybe instead of investing all that time in money, maybe try a mentor first or try a school, online school first, and see how you get on. Because maybe you don't need it. Who knows, right? It depends on the person, really. Okay, so YouTube related question. What is the video you are most proud of? Everybody's like, and I'm gonna put Brian on the spot because he seems to know.
Oh, crap. Um, that's a great question. I'm just saying that so I can buy some time to think of an answer.
I can tell.
Uh, proud of. Well, what I think it's the most useful is, which I just made. Oh my God, I said I just, but it's actually been a year since I made an update to it. So I just, aka a year ago, made an updated version of it. It's a video I made when I was working on Maya and the 3, which I think at the time was like the biggest production done in Blender. Someone
Yeah.
can correct me if I'm
Beautiful
wrong.
movie. Love that movie.
Thank you. Yeah, and it was my first time actually working in Blender, and I think I was like Blender 2.8 just came out at that point, if I'm not mistaken. That was sort of my first steps because I was a Maya animator before that, and there was no education in Blender at the time. Like at least for when it came to animation, what they gave us was Andrew Price's donut tutorial. That's what they give to the animators to kind of train them on Blender. And I was
Right.
like, this is a fantastic tutorial. It has nothing to do with animation. Like I still don't know how to animate. So just throughout that like year and a half to 2 year production, and it got intense. We were learning by trial and error essentially. We were learning Blender and like the how to have an entire production on Blender, animate on Blender through trial and error. It was absolute hell, and I hated Blender at first, but by the end of the production, I was like, holy crap, if I knew everything I knew now, in the beginning, it would have saved us like half a year of production, like everybody. Um, and I I think right near the end of that production, I was like, you know what, I want to put together a video that's like for a Maya animator that wants to transition to Blender, and here's like all the essentials, for like at least for the animation tools.
Mm.
Um, and that's probably the video I'm like, it's probably my favorite video, probably most helpful video. It
Yeah.
didn't get a crazy amount of views, but which was, it's upsetting, but in terms of being proud of it, I think I am proud of it because I think it's the most helpful for someone who's a Maya animator looking to transition to Blender in terms of animation.
Nice one. What about you, Jerome?
So there's this video I made. It's an actual in Maya animation tutorial where I did basically this assassin character that was rigged by Carol Figgins and the character War from what's that game called, Darksiders. And
Yes.
yeah, what I really loved about that video is basically I came up with a new animation workflow just on the spot as I said I wanted to make something cool. And it was the first time I was able to make an animation that was in my mind and it turned out exactly the way that I pictured it.
Mm.
And for me, it was a breakthrough moment for me, and it's something that I just had to share. And then what makes it super proud for me is that it springboarded everything I built in my reel afterwards. And so many people commented saying like, "Oh man, like this stuff is gold. Like I'd pay for this." But I just put it out there because I was just super proud of it, super happy with it. And since then, I'm now able to make animations just like that. So I think that's the one I'm most proud of.
Nice one. That's really, really cool. What about you, Pierrick?
Well, so it's a bit of a different video. It's when I did the trailer for the rigging course, the Art of Effective Rigging 2, with the monkey punching the
Oh,
robots and
that's
stuff.
amazing. Yeah, I remember that.
So it wasn't the tutorial, but it was at the end of a long and very very painful production, for the course that took me more than a year. And I was really happy with the results. And the thing is that I got a lot of feedback from industry veteran, like a lot of people like you guys, sending me messages, on a bit everywhere saying that's killer. That's killer.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just not things on the spot where you contacted them first and they're just saying, oh, you're doing cool stuff. Like just people, like spontaneously, reaching out to me to say that that's cool. And I started working with studios I was looking up to thanks to that,
Right.
like I got an interview with Quad Group, the people, at Twiz. We did the Nike commercial with the robot doing crazy stuff like that.
Yep.
I don't know if
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
remember. And they contacted me like a couple of weeks after, I think. Say, hey, would you like to direct a short with us? And I'm like, what the fuck? They do they do a lot of commercials for Valorant and stuff like that. All those anime style crazy stuff like that. And those people were casually, calling me for that. So it really opened me gates to. So it was also a great success for the course, but it opened me gates to project I was dreaming of when I was I don't know 10 or whatever. So it's
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah.
since really this was an angular video for me. I was doing a lot of consulting, but more on the technical side, and this opened me positions to make animation or art creation for things I really enjoy, yeah, that was great.
It's great to hear all those answers, man. Because as you guys were answering, I was thinking about mine. Same reason. Thankfully, I actually get to actually go around. But I think there's a couple of them that I'm proud of. I'm not too sure if it's like my favorite video because I cannot watch myself very much like in videos. It's hard. Do you guys feel the same way? It's kind of like a little hard to watch yourself kind of talk. But there is actually one that I made that basically it changed. That's basically when I started doing talking heads. It was called the reality of being an animator, and that video, it was a video that I did out of frustration. I was in a specific place, and due to NDAs, I cannot talk about it. Specific place in my career that it was really difficult, and I was frustrated, creatively frustrated, frustrated with my position, even though I was working one of the best game studios in the world with some of the most talented people. I was still frustrated. And I basically decided to talk about the frustrations of animation because I was actually being happy and positive in every single video. And I was like, man, I haven't really seen anybody talking about how hard this stuff is because it's stuff. And that just kind of just allowed me to basically go look, don't expect any reward. The game will ship and nobody will know your name, and know that you need to be invisible, and know that you're gonna get frustrated, and politics. And there was so many things that I actually talked in that video, to the point where I actually published the video and I was basically almost not publishing it. And then I pressed publish and I never looked at it for 2 weeks because I was sure that I was going to go back to work at some point during this 2 weeks. And somebody would be like, what have you done? Come to HR, come and talk to us. I was so frustrated. I was nervous, but what I got was the opposite. What I got was very much at some point we had like a stand up, like a meeting, a dinner and stuff in the studio. And it was that video that got everybody to say, man, your YouTube video, man, keep going because the stuff that you're doing is different. And I never heard anybody saying things like that. And it resonates with me as an animator. That's how I feel. And I was fully thinking that was going to be super negative and people were going to be like, why are you being so negative all the time? But that's when I realized that actually YouTube is a lot of the time about you just being yourself instead of you showcasing the manicured version that you think people need to see, which is what a lot of people think that YouTube is. You have to act a certain way. But those mistakes, those little things that you do that are just human, that's the stuff that basically connects with people the most. And it was from that point onwards that I was like, I think I just need to actually do more of this stuff that is basically just explaining to people how things work behind the scenes and how certain things are not really as straightforward as people think, if that makes sense. And yeah, and it's fortunately did well, and it's still one of my top videos to this day. But it was a lesson more than anything. That's why I like it. It was a big lesson for me. All right, there's another question, and I think on this one we cannot pick each other. So the same person, Chromosome, asks this: what's your favorite content creator or inspiration on YouTube? I'll go with the Jerome. He's about to say
And we can't pick each other.
we can't pick each other.
Oh, that's hard. Okay. Well, since we can't pick each
That
other,
would have been so easy this way.
Oh, is it?
no, because my first answer was actually going to be you, Harvey. But my
Thanks.
second answer, we actually other than anyone on this panel, is actually going to be Mark Masters.
Mark
Like,
Masters, yes,
yeah,
yeah.
he's awesome, man.
Oh man, I completely forgot to invite him to this, man. Like Mark is great. Sorry, Mark. Next one for 100%, Mark. Just so you know. Yeah, absolutely. Mark is great, and he has a great personality, super humble. 100%. What about you, Brian?
JD.
JD, yes,
JD.
100%. Yeah, JD is
He's not
amazing.
here, so
Yeah.
I meet the criteria.
Amazing. And Pierrick?
It's hard to say, to be honest, because there are a lot of people. I do enjoy a lot, like 2D animators. Most of them. Because that's really the thing that really blew me away the most.
Of course. Yeah.
So I don't have names that come to head. I do love Aaron Blaze. I love the tone of his videos. I love, like it's like your dad drawing and doing, something I hope I can do one day.
Yeah.
But I will shout out to CG Boost because they are good friends and they were like really one of my biggest inspiration when I started to try to be more professional, like in the way I edit things, in the way I do my tutorials. And Zach, the CEO of CG Boost, helped me a lot, in getting where I am, giving me advice, like sharing a lot. Like he was kind of a mentor on the business side of things, and they do, for me, in Blender educational content, it's one of the best resource out there. So I would say CG Boost.
CG Boost.
I would like to second that as well. If I had a second choice, I would also choose CG Boost. And
CG Boost.
like Pierrick said, Zach has helped me as well on the business side. I've had talks with him, and like he's very like open, and he always wants to help. So definitely check out CG Boost as well. Yeah.
Man, sounds like somebody that I need to connect with. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know them. Yeah, I'd love to connect with them. Yeah, no, so I don't actually like the question. To me, I think it would be actually Aaron Blaze. Because Aaron did something for me that actually made me believe that I could do this. And I think it was my first video, the God of War video. Aaron actually commented. He actually he had like crazy views. Like he has like over a million. I don't know how many subscribers he has, like lots. But at that point, he must have had like maybe 200,000 or 500,000 or something like that, which at that point was like, you might as well just have a billion views, a billion subscribers, because it's the same thing. So it was so huge for me. And he took the time to kind of say, like, Harvey, you're doing a great job. Keep going. If you keep going, this channel is going to blow up. And I had like maybe 40 views on the video or something like that. And the fact that this guy found it on YouTube out of all places, and then had the time to thought it was cool enough to actually comment. Like I actually went straight to my wife and be like, I'm gonna make it on YouTube one day. Aaron said I was gonna make it. I'm gonna make it, and it was so awesome for me. And until this day, I still remember that. And I haven't spoken with Aaron. Well, we commented, like we exchanged messages and stuff, but not to the point that I can actually thank him in person. I already thank him digitally, but I feel like at some point in time, I owe that man like about 5 beers to actually be able to kind of thank him for the inspiration that he gave me, because yeah, he just went up and up and still has inspiration nowadays, and I think we all look up to him as an animator, right? He's just so much knowledge. As Pierrick said, it's like this wise man that is just there saying, look, cute, what you do is cute, but let me show you how it's done properly. And he just
And
goes ahead and does the thing.
and the other thing is that it's so cool to see a guy that is like a seasoned artist having the same passion, doing the same thing, and doing,
Yeah,
and still progressing. Like, yeah, I think he did a short on himself in the traditional way with the white bear or something. Like, I mean, that's, I hope when I'm, 55, 60, I'll be as motivated, animated as he is. Like, it's,
100%.
and yeah, it's super inspiring. Beyond the art,
Yeah,
everything looks cool in what he does and what he
yeah,
shows. In the end, it's super
absolutely.
inspiring.
It's one of those people that you really wish that they get everything they need, that they deserve, that they want. It's just genuinely awesome. Um, okay, so another one that is tricky. Chromosome is coming with very, very, very tricky questions. Please keep them coming. Um, what is a comment on the one of your videos that you remember the most, either positive or negative? I definitely have a few of those. I'll go with I'll go with Jerome. Jerome seems to actually got one.
I don't. I was trying to think through
Yeah.
them, but there's one of my early videos, and you know what? It was a negative comment. We're saying it was something to do with my audio and like camera quality and stuff. But I didn't take that in a negative way because I looked at it as okay, you know what? Thanks for the advice. Now I know it's something I could improve on.
Mm,
But the following video, that same person, they subscribed and commented and said, "Oh man, like this much better quality. Like
mm,
thanks for actually listening to me." And for me, that was super powerful because people actually listened and they actually went to give me feedback. And if I act on it, they're actually appreciative of it. So that was my one. So it let me know that, all right, if I keep listening to what the people want, producing the content, this is going to work. It's going to grow.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, 100%. Brian?
It's a hard one, but the first one that comes to mind is like Jerome. It was one of my earlier videos, probably like the first 5 or something, and I showed a way that at least in my workflow, I animate or like rather offset multiple controllers.
Mm,
And I was a junior animator. I think it was like still like 3 months, 4 months, first 4 months of the job. Um, and you have that like sense of um, like imposter syndrome,
yeah.
especially when you're first starting out. You're like, I'm just a junior. Like, what am I doing making videos? But I was like, if I can help one person, like, or a person like one level below me, right? Then I'll be happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I made that video, and I think the very first comment I got was, I believe it was some senior animator, and he was saying, you shouldn't teach this workflow because it could make this and this more complicated later down the pipeline. And I had this like, oh shit moment. It's like, oh shoot, like I guess that could be true, yeah. And it just made me realize like I could be teaching something wrong with like what I'm showing.
Mm,
Um, it's like 5, 6 years later, I don't think what they said was necessarily true. That I'm thinking about it, but at the time, because I see everyone were doing the exact same thing. Like now, like senior animators, intermediate animators, but at the time it was like really like, oh shit, I should really like watch out like
watch out.
what I'm putting out there.
Mm,
Um, so and I think negative comments or just negative things stick out a lot more to us,
yeah,
just as just human psychology. You could have like an amazing day and then like have like one bad thing happen and the whole day you keep thinking about that, right? So
yeah.
negative comments stick out the most, and that's the one that stuck out with me.
Nice one. What about you, Pierrick?
Well, I think the harsh ones were always about my English accent at first, and okay, I understand, you know. So it in a way pushed me to take classes to have a better flow when I speak in English, And I had like a few people coming back to me and saying like I really improved, in the way I speak and stuff. But
Yeah.
some people were really like, mean in what they wrote to
Yep.
tell you that you had a shitty accent.
Man,
uh,
that's horrible.
but yeah, I got several comments, more kind of testimonials of people telling me that thanks to what I was doing, they were able to land a job.
Yep.
So that feels really good. When you're able to when be a little part of someone success. It's super. Yeah, it feels really good. Yeah, it feels really good.
Absolutely. So just so you know, Pierrick, your accent is part of the charm. It's part of the charm.
Yeah, because you understand me well now. But
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago, you would be okay.
Yeah,
Let me
like
cancel this recording.
yeah, no, right now is really nice. If he wasn't with a French accent and stuff, it just makes you you. It's just I don't know,
Thank you.
it's a Pierrick thing. It's great. It's really good.
Thank you very much.
Jerome.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on what Pierrick said. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of negative comments no matter what you do.
Mm.
So I look at it this way, especially as a content creator, and business owner as well. Like, if I didn't do what I do, there's going to be people whose journeys I haven't been able to influence in a positive way. So whenever you're going to get like a negative comment, we have a natural tendency to look at the negatives, but then think about all the people that you've potentially helped and have helped along the way, and that should really be your focus.
Yeah, 100%. Like I couldn't agree more. I think that's what I tell myself as well every time I have a negative comment. But yeah, as Brian mentioned, the negative stuff stucks to your brain to an annoying point. You want to can have 100 positive comments, and people are showering with love and all that stuff, and I really appreciate them. But having that one negative stuff, especially if it's super negative, so for some reason it just almost speaks. I used to feel before that I almost like would speak to my person, the fact that they actually were saying something negative. I was like, why can I not make this person happy? But I don't think that's how you have to look at it. I think it's very much the fact that people are just going to be grumpy sometimes, and they are just there commenting stuff, and people like to talk just rubbish for no reason. They might as well just type it in, leave, and they don't even think about it. But yeah, like to me, like I really appreciate the positive comments about people making into the industry and how the help and all of this stuff positive like that actually to me sticks to my mind the most when they kind of go like, man, you helped me and so and like you inspired me for this and this reason and all that stuff is incredible to me. And then on the opposite end, the most negative ones have been all about race. Like I had like quite a few that were very racist, and you genuinely feel that everything inside of you says you need to respond to this because it's such a shallow thing to do, right? I mean, you're trying to help others, you're trying to put content, you're doing the hard work, and yet people come along and just blurb these things towards you, and it feels like it's just a disservice to what you're trying to do, and it makes you feel deflated. And I try not to get to me, but as you can tell, it still gets to me. I think it's just a human thing, especially when you don't get it very often, because we don't get it very often, I think, because we have a niche community here with animators, which is great. You guys are amazing. But every so often, there's always something that comes along that kind of goes, damn, what did I get, bro? And it kind of makes you kind of second guess what you're doing and how you're doing it and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, go ahead, Jerome.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that super quick. When you get negative comments like that, especially like ones that talk about race,
Yeah,
you have to put in perspective and question, are these people even really your audience?
yeah,
Because, like you said, the animation industry is super small.
mm,
And I can quite frankly say in my career so far, I haven't experienced any of that. And anything I've achieved, I've done so purely based on merit.
mhm,
And, people ended up knowing, liking, and trusting me.
yeah,
So if you do get comments like that, it's hard to ignore. I get it, especially as a black guy myself.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but just recognize that, these are small-minded people who haven't worked in the industry, because if they did, or if they have, they'd realize that it's super diverse and people have a lot to give and offer. And it's just a small-minded,
Absolutely.
shallow way of thinking.
Wise words, 100%. That's exactly how I feel, man. It's just yeah, it's just like sometimes you kind of wonder about who these people are and where did they come from, and you know what I mean. It's really bizarre, but 100% with you. I'm 100% with you. Yeah, Perry.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as someone is mean, especially on internet,
Yeah,
whatever the reason, and when it's racist, it's even easier for them, to be. Yeah, you like your brain will tilt.
yeah,
It happens. So it happens to me to read comments where you're like, I know that he probably watched 10 seconds just to drop.
yeah, exactly, absolutely.
And you're like, okay, but it does, you want to grab them and shake them and say, well,
It's like
what do you
what?
want? That's human. So yeah,
Yeah,
generally you block them and
and move on.
you go on. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like, in order to actually add a positive spin to this conversation, because this is what we're here for, that positivity, I want to like share a few positive comments that we're actually getting because we're getting quite a lot. So, Jeremy Schrafer, you guys might know him, awesome animator, the box assassin, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, he basically mentioned that. Yeah, you guys are legends, and I agree. You guys are amazing. And then for you, for you as well, Pierrick, there's actually what is it? Somebody here saying exactly what I was trying to say, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Lenny agrees with me, and then also we have this as well for you.
Thank you. Yes.
See, this is the love. This is the love that you get, man. It's
That's
like, yeah,
cool.
your accent just, if it wasn't the accent, Pierrick, I don't think I would be able to pay as much attention. It's
Okay.
like the accent, it helps with the attention
Yeah.
with the tutorials.
Yeah, but there was a lot more. The tone of my voice, like when you're thinking about what you're gonna say in a foreign language, and you
Yeah,
have a tone like me that isn't super entertaining at first. It was. I can understand that some people would quit before the end of the
yeah.
tutorial at the time. Yeah.
You overcame it though. You overcame it.
Yeah, I worked on it. Like Jerome said, I had also that comment, you should improve your sound. Your mids are too low. Like one guy said that, and I started to search for how to rework your voice. And
Wow.
I now do it all the time. I have my audio setup just to filter the voice and make it a little better in a way.
Right,
So
right, right.
yeah, yeah, there are some negative in a way comment that are just, hey, you should improve that. But sometimes it's said in a maybe a bit of a, I don't
Harsh
know,
way.
goofy way,
Oh,
and it hurts a bit, but in the end it's it's good.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Chromosome actually mentioned about New Fame Plus when we were talking about like the favorite channels. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, awesome,
They are
awesome.
amazing. The work that they do, the quality, I am so jealous. Talking about the jealousy, 100%. I cannot match that quality. There is actually a few questions here that are quite important. So let me just get to a few because we don't have much more time. And you guys have been amazing both in the chat and also Pierrick, Brian, Jerome. You guys have been soldiers. I hope you guys like please have some water if you need to while I search for the questions.
I would just talk about New Frame Plus. I think it's a kind of a licorn in the YouTube, thing, because his very first video was so well edited,
Mhm.
documented, and the guy does maybe 1 to 2 videos a year. But each time it's a hit because it's so well edited, like there's a research. And
It's great.
so I wouldn't advise doing that because that's crazy, but sometimes it works.
Absolutely. But I think he only releases one video a month, if I'm not mistaken, or every few months. And I think it's because of that. I think he actually spends a lot of time thinking about exactly what to shoot, how to say it, the storyline, how to put it together. So I feel like he's one of those channels that every month they have this, it's almost like an essay on like a topic, um, which ends up being like I think they put all of the efforts in one video. Um, But yeah, I agree. Like to start, I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't advise it,
Mm.
especially like if you actually want to find your voice in your style as well. So it's really good. So I'm trying. So what I have here, what you guys don't see, I have like the chat, and I'm actually scrolling up every time to find the questions, and every time anybody comments, he just like automatically browses me down to the bottom, and it's really cool because you guys are sending so many comments. So it kind of brings a smile because it's almost like somebody saying nope. It just goes back to the bottom again. So I have to scroll down again to actually find the questions again. But let me see. Oh yeah, so I think this is a good one from Alex about consultancy, and I think we all do it in one way or the other. Do you notice any common patterns in what studios need? Because from the outside, it feels like every studio expects something completely different from a consultancy. So I think this is a really deep question. I'm passionate about this. I have strong feelings about this. But Jerome, have you experienced animation consultancy? What do you feel about it?
I have, but less so with studios and more so with the actual individual clients, individual animators, because that's who I consult to help them in their careers. So
Yeah.
I'll touch on it from that aspect because I think you're going to come at it from a different angle.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when it comes to like me dealing with one-to-one clients, what I often find is that they always ask me, "Oh, should I put this animation in my reel? Should I put that animation in my reel?" And I ultimately say to them, "Put what you want in there." And the reason why I say that is because you can try and make a reel that appeases to a particular studio, but then what happens if you don't land an opportunity at that studio? You have to start all over again. When I became a senior animator and I worked at Hexworks CI Games, I basically got there because I made a reel of what I like to make, and that was dragons, people fighting with swords, etc., etc.
Yep.
And when you do something with the intention that it's for you, the things that are for you will come to you. And that's what I find. And that's something that I advise all of my clients and students as well.
That is incredibly wise. Absolutely. What about you, Brian?
I don't do any studio consulting, but I guess like Jerome said, two other animators or two students.
Hmm.
Um, the common mistake I see is not using reference when they're making their work.
Yeah.
You always get pieces that it's just the pose is just unrealistic. The acting you see is just if you actually try to act out what the animation is, it's awkward. It doesn't make any sense. It's not natural. So I find that you constantly have to remind students that did you record reference? Did you have your reference from maybe multiple angles so you can actually see the angle you're looking for? Did you maybe stitch it together and have it as like a full clip throughout the thing? Because when you have a reference, there's all these little intricate like mini actions on top of like the main action that you do naturally that it gets missed if you don't
Yep.
record that reference.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most common thing. 70% of students, you got to constantly remind them um, to just record a reference.
Makes sense. Yeah, reference is like definitely the number one thing. It's incredible how many times I was told to shoot reference and I didn't. And then now that I'm on the other end, you have to say, and fully knowing that most people don't want to do it and they won't do it, and then that is the shortcut is not there. And it becomes a little bit of a detriment to the progress of the animator. Absolutely. Yeah, what about you, Pierrick?
Yeah, I would bounce on what Jerome said about the demo reel because um, I did advise to do like more specific demo reel, but for people that were really like focusing on a specific specialty like game animation for this kind of game, you know. But definitely what served me the most was when I do like personal projects, I don't have in mind the fact that I will do YouTube stuff afterward or any like commercial things. I just do them because I want to do them, you know.
Yep.
And this is what opened me gates to clients that do what I want to do. So I definitely agree with that.
Mhm.
It's probably hard to get that mindset when you're getting started, when you're looking for your first position, because
Yeah.
it might, maybe, I don't know, feel pretentious to say I do whatever I want and people will come to me for that. But
No,
you
no.
know, in a way,
It comes with time experience, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you and also when you do like personal stuff, you put your art into it, and this is where you do the best animations or the best
Yeah.
content in the end. And about reference, I hate shooting reference because you feel ridiculous and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's also a process where you're thinking about what you're doing with your body and stuff. And I think so. What I do a lot though, and what I do advise to do is get up off your chair and try to take the pose and see what's wrong. You know,
Yeah.
so everyone can't do that, but I think that's a first step in the end. But definitely when it comes to acting and stuff like that, like all the little facial things happening or what we do with our hands, yeah, you can't, you must study references or yeah, or classic, you know, animations and stuff like that, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, no, so like I'm not gonna echo what you guys said because you guys said it so well and that's spot on. What I'm gonna say is that there is actually an interesting thing that happens when you shoot mocap, where like you kind of realize that like when you look at reference, as Brian was saying, that there's these micro things that you learn over time when you analyze enough reference to that you start to see certain things that you wouldn't see before. And it's funny though, because it's still a person walking or a person jumping and stuff. And what it was used to make sense like 2 years ago, what it was just like, you know, the legs are doing this. Now you're looking at like the shake of the leg or the knees being slightly odd. When you shoot mocap, then especially when you suit up yourself, and then when you used to seeing yourself taking reference, you start to see different things because it's like another character with your movements. And then you start to see, for example, I realized that my knees actually go inside much more than I thought. For me, I was actually walking bow-legged, you know, with like a little bit of swag and stuff. That's what I thought I was doing. And then you look at yourself in like, you know, as a Mongol or as a Yoda or as a whatever, and it's your own mocap doing it. And you're like, what the hell am I doing with my legs? It's so bizarre. But then again, then you look at your reference again, then you see it. It's something that you haven't even seen it. And I think that's the beauty of seeing of like looking at reference over and over again is these micro details and micro things that you don't know and it's fun after a while, even though it's boring initially, perhaps. But yeah, my angle here that Rome was talking about is because I'm working with a lot of studios and consulting and stuff. And I think Alex Maniotis is kind of like on the same kind of path as me because I think he has a lot of knowledge on Real and things like that. And yeah, you're right, Alex. I think like the companies are very different and everybody wants different things. But that's exactly the reason why they need consultants because they don't know exactly where the holes are. So they very much say, look, this is what we need. Sometimes it's just basically everything is on fire. So that's basically how it is. Like I had companies that came to me and were like, well, animations are not working, period. And then you come in and then you start to analyze what's going on. And sometimes it's very specific, like communication or the mocap or the cleanup or like, you know, the lead or the person. There's a person there that doesn't make sense, but they don't know how to articulate it. So yeah, there's no straight line, but this is why consultancy comes with experience. So Pierrick, for example, when he deals with his clients and when he got to this point now that he can do what he likes, it's because I think he dealt with enough clients over his time that now that he has all these opportunities, people can basically rely on his experience to know that he's going to deliver in the end and on time because he has done it a gazillion times. That's kind of the same thing with companies in the end. It's the same thing with Jerome and Brian, most likely. Like, you know, you've been around enough that you've seen enough in enough variations of each thing that you know more or less where to take it when the company comes along, even though they don't know what to do with it. Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. And oh, Mark is here. Hey, Mark, how's it going? We're just talking about Mark Masters. How's it going, man? Nice to see you around here. So next time we need to have you here as well with us. You definitely should be here. I want to kind of close this by asking you guys about like the future of animation or the future of YouTube and being an entrepreneur because we all are. here, one way or the other. And I think there's allure or appeal for anybody that is right now an animator that perhaps is struggling to find a job because the industry is in a difficult position. And I think when they look at us, they can see that we build a brand, we build a name, and perhaps things are easier for us, which is not totally untrue. Things are not easy for sure, but the visibility helps, right? So for anybody out there that is thinking, should I do this? And how hard is it? And is this the future? And is this going to help me in the future? And have all those questions in their minds. What would you say to that person that is actually going through these feelings and thoughts right now? And I'll start with Pierre because he has a smirk. He has strong opinions about it.
So, yeah, we had again this conversation before. Definitely building an audience, whatever your ambition online are, is super important. It will make a difference as an animator or whatever. So you've got to share what you do as much as possible. Don't wait to have like the best showreel in the world before you start putting it out, because it might not have the attention the moment you put it out. Then as an entrepreneur, what I would say is that things takes time. So if you do again, if you want to be an entrepreneur, make sure you do what you like, because all the moment where you're struggling with money or with motivation, etc., there's only the passion left, and that's the only way to put the extra work to maybe succeed at some point. And then, yeah, I'm not super worried about the future of animation. It's evolving, and I also think there are a lot of good reason of the current crisis in the animation world because of COVID and all that happened at this time. So I feel like it's kind of balancing slowly. And yeah, I mean, we see like all big companies, everybody have an Instagram, LinkedIn, a YouTube channel. So if you want to build a brand, or if you want to be a professional, do what everyone's do as a professional. Create your brand, and it will scale up with you at your own pace. But it's part of the job now, being online.
100%. Brian.
I think I'm gonna have to echo basically everything that Pierrick just said. You have to build a brand. That looks like what the future is gonna be, and it's never been easier to build a brand than it is now. And in terms of becoming an entrepreneur, get ready to, a lot of people aren't a fan of Elon Musk. Me too nowadays, but you gotta admire like his work ethic and what he's been able to achieve. But what he says is building a company is like chewing glass and staring into the abyss, I believe. Um, it's tough. It's tough, and you're some months you're not gonna know if you're gonna make money or not. Um, it's never a sure thing. Like like when you're getting a paycheck, you have this weight off of you because I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna do the work, and I'm gonna get paid that exact amount every single month. Well, every week is gonna be different for you. Some days you don't get any sales, and then some weeks you don't get any sales. You're like, oh my gosh, what is the business over? Is it done? Um, so it's a lot more stressful. So you have to kind of go, like Pierrick said, go back to the reason you're doing it. You have to be passionate about it. Um, and in terms of the future of animation, I am optimistic. I think we've been here before with like many other things. Cameras come out, oh no, like artists are done for. You can just take a picture. You don't need a painting. Now it's like, okay, would you rather have a printed picture or would you rather have someone's hand painted painting up on your wall in your house? Which one's valued more?
Mm-hmm.
Same with motion capture suits. We talked about that. So now it's the same thing with AI. It's like, yes, we're trying to figure out where it is, but usually humans come out on top, and artistry, in terms of value, overtakes something that can become a commodity. Like AI generative video can just be a commodity. Anyone can do it. So it kind of loses its magic, let's say. Um, it just comes down to who can do it better, and artists can do it better. So going forward, just I think people with who build their technical skills and uh, kind of build a strong direction with their art
Yeah.
are going to come out on top.
Amazing. Epic answer again. Jerome.
Harvey, just a quick one. Run the question by me again, just so it's fresh in my mind.
Oh, so basically, like, given the fact that we have more visibility, given the fact that we have, like, we are entrepreneurs and we
Mm.
have more visibility for anybody that actually is kind of thinking to follow on these footsteps, right? And everybody that's looking into the future, especially now that things are hard and there's no jobs and stuff like that. I know for a fact, given the comments that I get, lots of people are thinking about doing this because this gives us an upper hand in a way, right? The visibility of it all. So, like, what do you think about that?
Okay. I'd say becoming an entrepreneur with the state of the industry, I think it's almost a necessity because with what's been going on, it's harder. There's more competition out there. But what having a brand does, it allows you to build visibility. And in fact, it's something that I teach my clients to do specifically.
Hmm.
It's super important, but I have to say this, it's not for the faint-hearted. It is difficult. Like Brian touched on, there's going to be times where you make no money. So, like Pierrick said, you're going to have to fall back on the default reason as to why you started, and that is your passion. So, let that be the starting point. Understand that it's going to breed some uncertainty, but through that uncertainty, if you stick through it, you're going to end up reaping rewards from it, especially as you grow, develop, and become good at it. I think it's a necessity. As for the future, when I think about the future, I often just look to the past, like everyone here on this call has said today. We've seen it happen with mocap, we've seen it happen with digital pay-ins, cameras, we've seen it all before. The industry goes in waves. You get super booming points, and then you get really low points. And right now, we're just in a low point. And when you're at a low point like this, the only way to go is up because games are still making money, movies are still making money, television is still making money. And because that's going to be the case and people need entertainment, you're going to need animators, you're going to need artists, you're going to be needed. And even with the advent of I do eventually just see it being a tool that is used to help you rather than to hinder and take away from you. That's my overall take.
Yep. Amazing, amazing. So, and with that, I think we need to wrap it up. I want to thank you both, all of you, for all the time that you took. 3 hours is not for the faint of heart. And this is the last stream of the Streamathon, the fifth and final. And you guys are legends, and I appreciate you all for taking the time. And before we wrap up, any last words from all of you for either the chat or anybody that actually kind of want to follow on your footsteps? Pierrick?
Well, just a big thanks to the three of you. It was super cool. And yeah, just remember that at first animation we do that for the passion. The money will come after. If you want to start this career for the money, that's not a good career. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't make money out of it, but first follow your passion if you can.
Epic. Brian?
Yeah, thank you for having us, Harvey, and thank you, Pierrick and Jerome. It's nice to actually be able to, finally talk to you guys outside of social media. Um, in terms of final words, I'll just say this. It's from Shield, the series, uh, but it's still my favorite quotes I've ever heard, and I truly believe it. It's not the size of the steps you take, it's the direction you take them in.
Mm,
And that can
that
be
is
applied
amazing.
in anything, but in this context, I think it's very true. So
Epic. A really good saying. Shield, the TV series?
yeah, I heard that. I was like, whoa, that
Wow.
was,
I want to watch it
but
now.
yeah, they just kind of skimmed over it, but like that like stuck with me forever. I was like, wow,
Wow.
yeah.
Jerome?
Wow, how do I follow up from that?
Right.
I'm just gonna start off by saying, Harvey, thank you for having us.
Oh,
Brian, Pierrick, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. It's been awesome. 3 hours have completely flown by. I didn't even notice the time. Um, as for final words, I feel like we've all said it all already, but I would just say to all of the animators in the chat and out there watching this later that things in the industry will get better. But like Pierrick said, make your passion be your baseline. Like Brian was alluding to, small steps are important and consistency is key. You combine those two things, you will have a breakthrough. And I think that's been true for all of us here on this call today. If
yep.
animation isn't about the money, you can make a lot of money in animation, but that will come in time from you do the two previous things that we just said before.
Yeah, exactly. Time is very important for animation. Give it time. You will come. Amazing. Epic. We're going to close it there. You guys are legends yet again. Chat, you're also legends. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for being here. All the energy that you've been giving us and stuff. And this is the end of the Streamathon. A whole week of streams, knowledge, and more. Hopefully we can do it again next year because this weekend I need to sleep a lot in order to recover from all this. My legs hurt, my back's hurt. It's horrible, but I'm happy to be here. Thanks very much. Appreciate it, and see you all guys on the next one. Peace.